Oh, well, I screwed that up already. If you've ever won another parlay ahead of New Year's Eve and you're ready to just bet your face off while enjoying adult beverages, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Happy New Year's Eve. Welcome back for the last show and the last day of the year. I'm seeing New Year's Eve celebrations happen in Sydney, Australia, where they are in the future. But in any case, it is New Year's Eve today. And before we celebrate with those adult beverages, we've got one more market day to take care of. If you haven't sold your losers for tax loss harvesting, today is your last opportunity, folks. Let's go ahead and break down the news. Get ready for the day, the last day of 2024. Good morning, folks, and happy Tuesday. Perhaps more importantly, happy New Year's Eve. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. As my good friend Christopher Anthony Forsman is saying, please like and subscribe. Your free support helps us keep doing what we're doing, and we are going to try and set up for an even more profitable 2025 as we close out 2024. Chris, it's great to see you. Homer, great to see you. That's me with UNG. I think you were talking about the parlays, my opener there with the parlay. I am on an absolute heater. I've made so much money on parlays that I've actually withdrawn and put it in my bank account, which is not normal when it comes to sports betting. I'll tell you what, I could get used to it, though. Jay Harris, good morning. It's great to see you again. Envy us. We'll make you the person of envy here. We'll find some stocks to trade here today. No doubt at all. Drew, good morning. It's great to see you. Get that coffee ready. Hugh, good morning. The coffee is ready. Chuck, good morning, man. Last day of the year. You ready to close it out strong? I know you are, boss. Asar, welcome back. Tom, it's great to see you. Bernhard, Lion, Atlas. Lion, you're here early. You must have some coffee going. You must be planning your New Year's Eve. Here's the only question that I have. You've made so much money this year. Are you giving away free Teslas to those that attend your New Year's Eve party? Let me know. That's the rumor on the street. Good morning, Atlas. And Fairchild, good morning. Happy New Year's Eve. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's see where we're at here today and kind of get ready for the day before we party it up tonight. Also, just a reminder here, be safe, right? We want the entire group to be back in 2025. I don't think any of you have made enough money and you're just kind of done with it for your life. So make sure that you celebrate responsibly tonight and come back bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for the new year starting on Thursday so that we can absolutely extract gains from this market. Let's go ahead and take a look at said market. And I'll tell you what, Happy New Year's Eve indeed. We got green futures across the board here today, which is something new. S&P futures up 0.2 right now. Dow futures actually came off. They were up a little bit more. They're up about 0.15%. They were up 0.2 earlier. And the NASDAQ here, NASDAQ actually dropping as we speak, up 0.2 again as well. So some early green arrows across the board. We have not had a Santa Claus rally yet this year. Santa Claus dropped off the gifts on Christmas and said, F it, I'm out. I'm going somewhere else. And he has not been around the market. Can we turn that around here today? Can we get the first green day of the Santa Claus rally? That would be something else. And that would also set up well for the remainder of the week on Thursday and Friday. So jobless claims on Thursday, by the way, no economic events today. We're just going to have some fun with some of the stocks that give us trading setups here today. And we're going to roll into the new year. Next year, really, really excited. We're going to go over some of the stories here that are forecasting what next year is going to be about, but really excited because I think we can all make that the best year to date in the market. So looking forward to doing all of that here. Now, as far as the SPY goes, again, we are a little bit higher here. So we're just shy of 590. As far as key levels, it is the same key level that we have been talking about for like the past week here. It's going to be that 50-day moving average. In this case, this is a key level to the upside at 592.85, excuse me. We do have that 20-day just shy of 600. I got to say, for us to test 600 today, we would need some type of big bullish move. And despite the futures being green early, they're actually on the way to going. No, they're holding in there. Despite the futures being green early here, we would need a really, really kind of a big move. I'm not sure we're going to get that here today. Now, the 50-day moving average could totally see us recapturing that, and that would actually set up for the rest of the week. So we'll see if we're able to do that. Downside key level here, I'm going to still have the 582.30 level that we've identified. No question about that. But also, we want to take a look at yesterday's candle. I've got yesterday's low at 584.41. I'll be honest with you, I think that is going to serve as a key level here today too. I think if we crack that, it probably sends the market lower here. Now, I know I had joked in the opener there about if you have anything left to sell here for a loss to get your tax loss in for the year, go ahead and do that. There's always somebody that seems to do this. So we'll see if I don't know if we're going to get pronounced selling on that here today, but I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. So we'll see what the day ends up being here today. But these are the key levels that I got in the SPY. Downside here, 582.30. Upside real close at that 50-day moving average. I will say this. If we take out that 50-day moving average and it looks pretty convincing, like we're actually able to move through it pretty substantially, I would not take 599.61 out of the question for this week, although I'm not sure we get it there. The other thing here is that, just kind of talking to people about their year-end targets for 2024 and the action that we've seen in particular lately. There's a group of folks out there that think, or that did think, I don't know if they still do, haven't talked to them this morning, that did think, this could be a 600 pin, right? We're really, really close to 600 on the SPY. Maybe we'll end up pinning it right there. I don't know. I don't know if we see 600 today. That actually might be a little too far out of the way to the upside. We'll see also how much participation we get. And then as a reminder, today is not a holiday. It is a full market day. So we are going until the 4 p.m. close here. It is not closing at 1 p.m. Okay, now, as far as some of those predictions go here with the SPY, the U.S. stocks are poised to open higher on the last day of trading for 2024. Hopefully that holds up into the open here. Will they close higher? That still remains to be seen. Analyst Tom Lee sees the S&P 500 at 7,000 in the first half of 2025. S&P futures currently sitting at 59.69. Tom Lee's calling for 1,000 there. So we'll see. Tom Lee, I'll tell you what, I know that there's a lot of talk about, Tom Lee's always bullish and this and that, and you can't really take what he says and this, that, and the other thing. And I'll be honest, he's been right more often than not. So we're going to at least mention what he's talking about here. Tom Lee thinks early in first half in 2025, we could reach 7,000 on the S&P 500. Now, this is interesting to me because the happy hour group, again, a whole bunch of seasoned investors from varying walks of life and varying backgrounds, kind of think that the way the market is trading and the way things are going right now, that we're actually setting up for a sell-off after Q1. Maybe it'll come after the inauguration, kind of a sell the news event with the new administration. Maybe we get some more rhetoric that kind of spooks the market. That induces a sell-off. But for the most part, people seem to think after those Q1 numbers, maybe around March, might be when we see our sell-off. That is 3 months sooner than the first half here timeline that Tom Lee has given. But given some of the action that we've seen, if we carry that bullishness into next year, see us trading up maybe to 7,000 before that sell-off. We'll see. I do think the market really needs a reset. I seem to be the only one left that thinks that, as more and more people are joining some of those upside targets. So we'll see where we get on the SPY. I'd be curious. What are your predictions for next year? Where does the market finish next year? What do you folks think? Are we going to have a good 2025? Are we going to have growth in 2025? Is it going to be a return to normalcy? Are fundamentals ever going to matter again? I'd like to hear from you folks. The next story that we have here is going to be regarding natural gas. Natural gas surges as much as 20% on expectations for colder than usual January on the East Coast. Now, remember, we saw nat gas hit a high of 420 yesterday. Let me see if I can pull up the price here for you today of the actual commodity itself. Nat gas holding here at 3.823. So we backed off that 420 high we put in yesterday. We tried to call for wisdom. He didn't show up. He might be starting his New Year's a little bit early. Regardless, for natural gas here, remember we had the 11+% jump. News that Germany is not going to buy, or excuse me, Ukraine is not going to use Russian gas while the war is going on. Now you have forecasts of a colder than usual January on the east coast of the United States. That would also tend to boost natural gas prices. We are seeing natural gas trade up off the bottom here. So those plays likely to be in play again here. I am not a natural gas trader. I see Hugh mentioning Boyle in the chat here. Boyle's, of course, that 3x levered. Remember, we call that thing the Widowmaker, right? We call Boyle the Widowmaker. That thing can get you in a lot of trouble if you're wrong on that. So just kind of keep that in mind. That being said, though, natural gas, at least early or at least closing out the year here, seems to be something that we can trade. All right. That takes care of natural gas. I guess I should mention here real quick, UNG. This is often what we'll check. This is going to be the United States Natural Gas Fund. No leverage here. You can actually visually see this recent move. We are popping off that 200-day. And it looks like maybe we're going to trade up to that 22.5 level, which is where the 500 is at. Okay, next here, we're going to talk about MicroStrategy. Of course, MSTR, as mentioned yesterday when we talked about MicroStrategy, it sure looks like the head and shoulders formation, albeit a little bit janky and not as clean as we'd like to see, did in fact work. MicroStrategy trading down and is now hunting for some new support. Now, what I will say here is that the bottom of this candle, the candle from November 11th, this actually represents a gap. The bottom of this right here, about 296.19, price here on MicroStrategy 315. So we didn't actually test that yesterday, but we did bounce here a little bit. So looking at the MicroStrategy chart, this does look like an area. This 280 to 290 and change level, this absolutely looks like a support area. We'll see if MicroStrategy finds some support there and ends up bouncing from there. Did have here we go. Let me get this one here for you. Here is the article that I'm referencing. Producer and I call producer because I'm not sure if it's okay for me to mention the name. So we just call him producer, but you let me know if I can address you by your name and I'll stop calling you producer. One of the things that we had found here for MSTR, there was a Kobesi letter tweet from yesterday. Producer doesn't care. Okay, producer Michael, by the way, who does an excellent job on the ones and twos behind there. I'll go ahead and do that. There's a tweet yesterday. It's actually in the article here. So if you want to go through the tweets and the thread, go ahead and check out the article that I just threw in the chat there for you. But the TLDR of this is that Bitcoin's levered play MicroStrategy witnesses a divergence. And indeed, that is what we're seeing here. Shares underperform Bitcoin as the company buys more Bitcoin by issuing 0% convertible notes. Now, the one thing from this article that I did want to mention in here, because there's a lot of talk about, this being a Ponzi scheme and all of that, and it is what it is. A couple of things here real quick. This is why this matters here. Early on December 23rd, MicroStrategy floated a proposal to increase the number of authorized Class A common stock from 330 million to 10,330 million. So they're basically going to dilute that a lot. If the plan is approved, bears will say that this is a highly dilutive move. Well, yeah. I mean, you're increasing the number of shares out there by an order of magnitude for existing shareholders. However, if it's not approved, then MicroStrategy will be unable to continue buying Bitcoin on leverage. And so, again, that's kind of what's going on here. The odds of a share count approval being raised are high since Michael Saylor holds 46.8% of the voting power on here. Now, the mechanism, again, this is all going to be in the tweet if you want to go in there, but the mechanism by which this works, according to Kobesi, the MicroStrategy model is to first borrow money through a 0% convertible notes and buy Bitcoin and drive the price higher, right? So the idea here is that you borrow money at no cost, buy more Bitcoin, drive the price higher, thus driving the underlying asset higher. And there you go. And the MicroStrategy, that MicroStrategy then sells new shares at a premium and uses those proceeds to buy more Bitcoin. And the process repeats. Now, here's again, like I don't have a position on MicroStrategy. So it's easy for me to just kind of say different things about how I feel about it. But it's important because I am watching this and I do think that there's something here. On the surface, I'd be very concerned about diluting the shares, right? That's not great. I wouldn't want that to happen. But on the flip side, I do think that there's more upside for Bitcoin, tremendous upside for Bitcoin. And MicroStrategy is just so far and away the leader in terms of their Bitcoin holdings. I'll check treasuries.bitboy.io or BitBoy. Here is that site again. We reference this all of the time. I don't think I often share it on screen, so link is in the chat for you for any of you that want to bookmark it and use it yourself. MicroStrategy currently holds 446,400 Bitcoin. That's 2.12% of the outstanding Bitcoin out there. The next closest the next closest company here owns 40,000. That's Marathon Digital, 40,000. So 40,000 is second. 446,000 is MicroStrategy in first. They have such a lead here. I'm really curious to see how this plays out. Now, looking at the chart here, sure looks like we're resolving this head and shoulders. So the trade plan here, given everything that's going on, would be if this resolves its head and shoulders pattern, shows some type of support, you could really easily convince me to try and swing that to the long side. This is one of the things that I'm kind of waiting out. Okay. Lion Atlas says, if people believe in Bitcoin, then MicroStrategy is not a Ponzi scheme. And that is pretty much, this is actually what makes a market, right? And it seems that when it comes to Bitcoin, all of this stuff is, whether it's the coin itself, whether it's the shit coins that have crazy names, or whether it's some type of leveraged stock that has access to Bitcoin or Bitcoin in its treasury. This seems to be the new thing here, and I'm excited about where this can go. I'm excited about a number of these companies. I know MicroStrategy is the big one, but I suspect that there will be others as well. So I'm looking. I'm watching to see how this plays out here. No position yet. I suppose if you were asking me, well, Brian, what is the next position that you're looking for? I'm looking for a clear support to be defined so that we can take this long. And I would do that in a swing, not necessarily in a long-term investment. My long-term investment is still with the coins. Full disclosure, I've never sold Bitcoin in my life. I've only bought it and I've only mined it, and I've only actually transferred it. I converted Litecoin to Ethereum. So I've never sold Bitcoin. No plans to do that here in 2025. Okay, curious to know your thoughts on trading MicroStrategy, if you have any. Okay, if you don't. And then, of course, I don't even have to ask for it. I know we'll talk about Bitcoin going forward here. Okay, kind of back to the SPY here real quick. U.S. money market funds hit a record of 6.75 trillion. Does that liquid cash pile illustrate latent buying power? And this is kind of a broader question on how we're going to do in 2025. Is there latent buying power? Are we going to see people kind of chase performance and chase alpha in 2025? And if we do, how long will that last? Will that be indefinite? Will that just be kind of an early blip? Lots of stuff to kind of shake out there. So we'll see. It does seem like there's money waiting for deployment. And I think that that's one of the reasons why you're seeing some more forecasts higher here. Sure seems like that anyway. Again, I'd like to get your thoughts on all of that. What kind of do you think that we have people on the sidelines waiting to dive into this market? What do you think of 2025? Kind of want that to be a theme of the next several sessions here. Okay. Next one here. This is going to cover MasterCard, Visa, and American Express. MasterCard down here slightly on low volume in the pre-market. Visa, this actually was down earlier. This has now gone positive here in the pre-market, up just about 0.25%. And American Express up about 0.1% here. Bernie Sanders calls Trump's 10% interest rate cap on credit card debt a, quote, great idea, end quote, and defaults surge to the highest level in 2028. Now, I got to be honest with you, I agree with this. As someone that when I was, finishing up high school, getting into college, I had my first run-in with credit cards, and like most young folks that aren't fully mature, it didn't end well. I had some credit card debt that I needed to really kind of focus on and resolve before I could move forward with paying off student loan debt, owning a house, things like that, what a lot of younger folk are struggling to do right now. So as far as like the actual idea here on the surface, I think that this is a great idea. Credit card interest can really bury people. And I feel like if you put a cap on that, maybe we bury less people. I will say, in hindsight, kind of looking back on that, the lessons that I learned from some of my financial mistakes have ended up being forged into positive things going forward, right? I'm careful on how I use credit cards. I'm careful on how I borrow money. That actually affects me in trading. Like I don't oversize my risk too much in trading. I don't borrow money on the short side or the long side when I trade. So it's led to some positives, but the early pain really did kind of set me back, and I would imagine that this set others back as well. The other thing that I want to point out here, Bernie Sanders, classified as an independent, often looked at as really, really far left, kind of the opposite of Trump, and it seems like they're getting together on things that they think are good ideas for the American people. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, I think it's time that this is the type of thing that we see, right? We see some agreement in DC for the betterment of the people. I'll take that all day. So encouraging. We'll see how it ends up shaking out, and we'll see what it means for some of these stocks. I mean, just kind of taking a look at this American Express here, up near all-time highs. These have been great stocks to kind of just own for a long time. Visa, same deal. Look at this chart. This is just a daily chart on Visa going back to 2015. This is a stock that you just buy and hold this thing. And frankly, when this thing gets hit or when it moves down, that is an opportunity. That is an opportunity to add. All right. So that was Visa. We took a look at American Express, or we stopped there on American Express. Here's MasterCard. It's the same deal. It doesn't matter which one of these that you pick. These always seem to be like really, really good long-term stocks. We'll see if that changes. And then secondarily, we'll see if some of this legislature, this talk about capping some of these things ends up providing a buying opportunity for some of these stocks. That might be something else that we can look into. We get that combined with a move down in the market that resets some of these valuations. It could make some of these companies extremely attractive for long-term investments. So we're going to keep our eye on that. Good stuff here with that one. It's as simple as calling out a good idea when you see it. Exactly. Like I don't really care where the ideas come from. Like if you have a good idea, congratulations. When's your next good idea, right? Like let's keep having some good ideas come out. And when I see people from different sides of an aisle that traditionally fight with each other agree on things like that, it gives me encouragement. I can't help it. I'm a glass half full type person. So that's just what it is. Okay. Daily YouTube poll. I don't know if this is up because I don't see it from my side. Michael, you'll have to let me know. Producer Michael, you'll have to let me know. We are going to run a poll here today. The poll is going to be, do you agree that the stock market should be closed for the funeral of President Carter? Yes. No, it should be a half day, are going to be your answers there. Bill Ackman questions the stock market closure to honor Jimmy Carter, calls it, quote, shutting down commerce, end quote. I'm usually, or I have, I guess, recently been on the same side of Ackman with a lot of things here, but I'll say with this, I'm going to take the other side. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to think that this is good. I think anytime that we honor someone that has led the country. I think that's a good thing. I don't think that the quote here about shutting down commerce, I mean, that seems a little dramatic to me. I guess maybe if he could kind of build a better case for that, I'd be willing to listen to it. But look, the stock market shutting down, us not thinking about money for one day. I guess the reason that they did this was to allow people to go to the funeral, from what I understand. So I certainly don't have a problem with this. I will formally vote in the poll, but make sure you vote in the poll. Our polls have been pretty awesome. We really haven't had, and again, a shout out to Michael, producer Michael there. We really haven't had many runaways with the polls. There's been some good back and forth on those. Also, speaking of Jimmy Carter, this has nothing to do with the market, but this is just something that I learned yesterday that I did not know, and I found it extremely interesting. Did you know that Jimmy Carter was actually the president that started the tradition of the team that won the Super Bowl visiting the White House in the following year? I guess they did that with one of those 70s Steelers teams. That was a thing that was started and still goes to this day. So I had no idea that that was the case. Learned that yesterday. Thought, gosh, that's awesome. I'm going to mention that. So really, really cool. And actually, we were in the Monday night game when they had mentioned this. A number of Troy Aikman, who played football and is in the Hall of Fame, said, me and my teammates thought that this was an incredible honor. And we're really happy that this happened. And I've heard a lot of that from former players. So really cool side note there. I thought that was cool. Shout out Jimmy Carter for starting that pretty cool, tradition that happens every year. Okay, Bitcoin. Now, I like this one here. Producer Michael telling me this is a bit of a silly story here. And that you might be right. Bitcoin here, NBA star, I guess I should say former NBA star, Scottie Pippen, quote, Satoshi Nakamoto delivered, end quote, Bitcoin forecasts are fairly accurate, says a financial analyst. Pip made some headlines, tweeting about how, I guess, Nakamoto came to him in a dream and told him that the Bitcoin price was going to be a certain price on a certain day. Let me grab that article there for you here real quick. Sorry, I didn't have this one. Where is it? Bit of a silly story. Here you go. So here is that news story here for you. I wanted to see if his actual prediction was in here. Would hit. Okay, so Pippen basically predicted that Bitcoin would hit 84,000 on election day. It reached 84,000 a week later. And I guess the analyst here is saying that was actually a pretty close, pretty good prediction. I mean, I find this funny because we have been listening to Bitcoin predictions of all kinds for as long as I've known about Bitcoin. Zero. I've actually had one really negative Nancy told me that Bitcoin is worth less than zero, that you should actually pay others money if you own Bitcoin. That's absolutely ridiculous. So I've been listening to Bitcoin targets my entire here we go. Thank you, producer. Just took a nap and Satoshi whispered Bitcoin will go back to Black Mamba number before it goes back to Chamberlain. Okay, so that's somebody that's got Bitcoin on the mind. I don't know what the guy in the mask. I don't know what the significance of that is. In Scottie Pippen's dream, it's actually super effing creepy. I'd draw my pistol on him if that happened to me. But as a side note, I'm really, really interested in these different predictions. I guess I'm especially interested on how they get to these predictions. And like I said to producer Michael earlier, I'm from Chicago and I grew up in the 90s. So if you bring me any former Bulls players stories, yeah, I'm going to read it. I'm going to hype that. Pip's one of the best basketball players I've ever seen. Some fond memories there. So tell you what, if he makes another prediction on Bitcoin, maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see if that one comes true. We can play that as a tip. Okay. One more story here to go through. The Mag 7 in review. Actually, two more. I think I skipped a Tesla one. I'll cover Tesla here in a sec. Mag 7 2025 review, 2024 review is what that should say. For Dan Ives, Palantir, Salesforce, Snowflake made the cut, but two magnificent 7's giants left out from Dan Ives. Dan Ives calling for 25% growth in tech stocks in 2025. So this is pretty much the crux of the article that I wanted to get to, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear what you folks think about this. Do you think tech stocks are set up for 25% growth in 2025? And the reason that I'm asking it like that, look at what they did in 2024, in some cases years before. Do you think we get any type of pause here in tech? Do you think that if interest rates start creeping up at all, that's going to affect technology stocks a little bit more? What do you folks think? Dan Ives calling for 25% growth in tech stocks in 2025. Also goes on to say, the AI revolution is going to be part of this whole thing. So curious to know. I'll tell you this. I'm not going to stop trading tech stocks. Not right now. Tech is probably my favorite thing to read about and trade. But man, oh man. I mean, I feel like we've been on such a huge run here. Kind of like what I've been saying with Nvidia, that if Nvidia can kind of sell off, if we can get some of these Nvidia holders to go into other stocks and kind of have less concentration, I think overall that's probably better for the market long term. And that's kind of what I hope happens with some of these tech stocks. The reality is, though, look, if we start 2025 and tech is clearly strong and some of these tech stocks are clearly putting in good gains, if you can't beat them, join them. I'll have a plan in case that reverses. I won't over leverage myself. We'll do all of the real kind of smart things to kind of keep ourselves protected. But just because I'm waiting for a down move in the market doesn't mean that I'm not going to participate with what's winning. That can really kind of stop you from making some gains. I personally believe that hampered some of my potential year-long gains that I could have had this year, and I don't want to make the same mistake next year. So definitely going to be watching that here a little bit. Would love to hear what you folks think about technology in particular in 2025. Bdmd saying the more AI bends towards nuclear, the more tech becomes an energy play. I think that this is spot on, Bdmd. And, we're already kind of seeing some of that, right? We're already seeing, what was it, Meta saying that they're going to, or Meta or Google, I can't remember which one, they're going to do their own nuclear energy. I mean, it's just, I think that you're right. If the energy demands for the tech ramp continue to increase, I agree with you. Tech and energy lines are going to blur in some cases, and those are often going to be, I want to call them good plays, but that's kind of what we should look for to take advantage here. So we'll see if we get that in 2025 as well. Okay. Nbis, looks like you're saying 40%. Conditionally accepted saying 10 to 15%. Neville, good morning. It's great to see you. And CEO Protection Unit. Yes, this is a full day here. Sydney, good old Sid, my Chicago buddy here. Ryan, you at Wrigley Field outdoor hockey game? So I'm not. Full disclosure here, for those of you that like hockey, the Blackhawks are going to play the Blues outdoors at Wrigley Field on a makeshift ice surface today for the Winter Classic. Going to be awesome. I love all of these outdoor hockey games. Really kind of throws me back to my childhood where I would leave the house at 10 o'clock in the morning and come back at 5 at night and have been playing hockey on the pond all day with the neighborhood kids. It's raining here in Chicago. It's like 38 degrees and it's supposed to rain a lot today. So hope they are able to get that game in. Hope the ice surface is pretty good. But I'm really waiting for that. And Sydney, given some of the hot streak that I've been on with some of the bets, you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be betting that game as well. Had to take a sip of coffee right there. That's just, it smells too good. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's go ahead and I wanted to take a look at Tesla here. I did see that Tesla was trading up in the pre-market. Haven't traded it yet today. This might be one that is kind of on deck here for today. We're going to start with the daily chart, and then we'll dive inside to the intraday chart here. Tesla, you can see off this huge run. Remember, we talked about this being like plus 92% or whatever it was since election day at the highs there. We have pulled off those 480 highs. But we seem to have carved out a support level down here at about 420. Now, do you guys really think it's a coincidence that we found support level at 420? I don't know. Not when it comes to Tesla, with all the funding secured and Elon jokes and et cetera, et cetera. But in any case, 420 does look like a fairly decent support. It also is being supported by the 20-day moving average here, which I currently have at 419.90. So this is actually set up, or yesterday when this traded down, this is actually set up for a potential bounce. Now, if we look inside, you can see Tesla trading up here in the pre-market 1.6%. This 1 minute chart sure looks like Tesla really wants to take out 425, maybe test that 426 high and go higher than that. We did have some news here on Tesla. Tesla Shanghai Mega Factory starts trial production 7 months after breaking ground. So here is that story. Let me go ahead and throw it in here. Not a whole lot to this. I suspect that it's a combination of this making the news flow, as well as the current area that Tesla finds itself, current price that Tesla finds itself at. I think that is probably resulting in your bounce here today. This, I think, is the key line out of this. In the 3 months through the end of September, Tesla's energy generation and storage revenue touched that's 2,376 million. I believe that's 2.3 billion, making a growth of 52% as compared to the corresponding period of last year. So a 52% increase in its energy generation and storage revenue. That's especially with we're talking about tech stocks kind of being married to energy stocks. This seems to me to be the big takeaway from this whole thing. Or from this article. Now, we'll see if that matters here, or how much that matters, I should say, going into 2025. Early on here today, though, Tesla up 1.7% now. So this should make for a decent trade here today. This is going to be the top big cap that I am looking at. Of course, we're going to look at some of these smaller stocks. We're going to break down the movers when 13 gets here. We're going to do all of the fun stuff that we normally do. But Tesla here might be on deck here for a trade. Okay, as far as the news, I think I covered all of it. Let me see if anything else was added. That should be bingo. Bingo. We think we covered everything. Let me see if anything broke here real quick. Any news broke, I should say. No, although we did talk about predictions earlier. Mohammed El Arian warns the Federal Reserve needs to refrain from being, quote, overly restrictive in 2025. Looks like he's asking for some more rate cuts there. So we'll see if that ends up getting rolling here. And then Dave, let's talk about this. Dave shares are trading lower after the FTC and the DOJ filed a lawsuit against the company over their alleged hidden fees and misleading advertising. That doesn't sound good. Dave's been a really good trade for us recently. You can see soft here in the pre-market as it trades down to 86. We take a look at the daily chart here. Remember, we had this actually at the bottom end of the range here. Jay Rice from our community was hitting this back and forth a number of times. In fact, he was in here in the morning telling us about that. Pretty actionable stuff. So Dave here, looks like this has fallen to the bottom end of the range. I got this at 86.63. So that's going to be right in here. Let's see if this area holds. If this holds, maybe this provides another trade. But I'll be honest with you. This lawsuit, I don't know. We'll see. Not a stock that I follow. I kind of want to dive into that a little bit more. Maybe I'll read about that while I'm waiting for the hockey players to warm up here today. CEO Protection Unit says, quote, I think it's sus, end quote. I would agree with you there. I think that's probably, it does seem a little sus, doesn't it? Sure does. Okay. And then producer out here hooking it up with the links. Way to go, producer. Bounce back from our X community. Appreciate you. And happy New Year's Eve. Bounce back. Hope to see you in 2025 and have a very profitable 2025. Bounce back here saying Tesla delivery numbers on Thursday. Shout out. I actually did not have that on my list of notes here. Shout out to you. Maybe we'll get some action in Tesla right out of the new year. That will be something else, wouldn't it? So we'll see what those delivery numbers do here for Tesla. Okay, that does it for all of the big news. All I got left is movers here. Unless there's anything that you folks want to take a look at real quick, I do want to quickly catch up here. Let me scroll. Boy, you guys, Dan Ives is the man. Yes, he's been right. I mean, look, you're right. He sure has been. Thinking we go into 2025 tech pensive in anticipation of quant AI. That makes a lot of sense to me. We'll see what that ends up, what ends up happening with that, though, how that actually affects some of the stocks. Forget tech today. Hockey at Wrigley Field demands our attention. Lynn and Randy, you know me pretty well by this time. You know that there's no way, even with the Hawks not being a great team, judging by my sweater here today, you know that I'm not going to miss an outdoor game at Wrigley Field. I am going to be in the warm, dry comfort of my couch. I guess my living room, on my couch, instead of in the rainy bleachers of Wrigley Field. But outdoor games, always really awesome. Diamond Hotline saying, Ryan, please comment at what. Oh, I see what you did there. You used what as what. Clever move, Diamond Hotline. Please comment at what made yesterday to make a sudden U and why it's in an opposite direction today. Okay, so first of all, I think that the sudden U that you're talking about is going to be this move right in here. This is intraday from yesterday, to be clear. I got a simple answer for this, my man. Volume. What made this happen? Volume. We had a stock here that was clearly being traded by short-term traders. You saw it in the pre-market after the PR. You saw it in the regular session right after the open. We actually talked about this being a stock that goes way back. I'm talking like years. This stock goes back almost for more than a decade. I believe Watt was talking about having some great wireless charging technology in like 2014. We actually talked about this on the show yesterday. So we know that this is a day trader stock. This is not necessarily a bunch of people or firms piling in for an investment on that piece of news or anything like that. This is a day trading target. And what told the story here all day yesterday, doesn't matter what time you looked at the chart, what told the story here yesterday is volume. When the volume really flowed in, this thing was a great target to the upside. When that volume dried up, this thing really had trouble even staying even. I mean, if you take a look at right after the opening print, we had easily the biggest volume peaks of the entire day. We got multiple separated by here. This is 9:13, separated by about a half hour, 20 minutes in there. This was a great trade early on. This had all types of juice. We moved through several of these pre-market levels. We actually pulled back from this one level and then blasted through it. But when that volume dried up, look what the price did. We stopped getting some of these really violent movements. We continued to kind of drift back in. Yeah, sure, we got a little bit of a volume pop in here, and that caused the price to curl a little bit. But this didn't really materialize, and we continued to drift down. And then at the end of the day, when most people were either gone or exhausted, volume came back into this name. We took out a number of key levels, most notably the $2 level here, which we found some resistance at and then rocketed through shortly after. And now that strength looks to kind of be holding here today. We're a little bit lower than where we were after that end of day rally. We pretty much gave that back, but we're really kind of holding higher than where we opened yesterday. So if you look at the number here, it says it's down 44.5%, and the math is not wrong. Okay, it closed here on a huge move, but look where we ended up coming back into. I think you actually might have a bounce potential here at 130 or right when we're at. Not my favorite play. Again, understand that this is a trading vehicle. It's been a trading vehicle for a long time. They didn't all of a sudden discover this awesome technology that's going to cause them to 10x. That's not how it is. So that would be my explanation here on Watt. 20 plus year hockey player here. Awesome. What position did you play? When I first started, I played center because I was good at draws when I was much younger. And then as I got older, I played defense because I was big and slow, but I could pound people. And that was fun. We had a lot of fun playing hockey. Good stuff, though. Hockey, my favorite sport. I know I talk a lot about football because the drama of the NFL season is just not like anything else. But I think if I had to pick one, my favorite sport, playing, watching, nostalgia, is going to be hockey. Okay. Producers got the poll up. Be sure you go vote. I will vote here in a little bit again as well. You're welcome, Diamond. No problem at all. Hopefully you found that helpful. Can you tell us how Nvidia maintained its position yesterday when everything else went down? Now, this is an interesting question. I don't know for sure. I'll go ahead and say that right away. I'm speculating here. I'm speculating for the purpose of answering your question. One of the things that I will say here with Nvidia is that, first of all, with some of these stocks, Nvidia has kind of moved off some of those highs here recently. Why was this one the one yesterday that was kind of holding up here? I don't know. I mean, I do think that the whole AI data center, all of that stuff is going to carry into 2025. And this, I think Nvidia is clearly the leader there. Maybe you're having people positioned for that yesterday. What did we get? Let me take a look here. So Nvidia, obviously that was lower in the pre-market. We saw it ramp later in the day and actually close green. Here's an example of Apple. Really, this did try to trade back up, but it just didn't have the juice that Nvidia did. Netflix, really kind of the same story, back to even, ended up closing red, really couldn't go green. And then Meta, very, very similar here to Netflix. Gosh, very, very similar to Netflix here. So what made Nvidia different? Your guess is as good as mine. Honestly, I think that this is just probably a general AI euphoria. I don't know. I can't say for certain. I want to say it's best in breed. I think the thing that surprises me, one of the things that I've been watching, is how Apple generally holds up when the market really kind of comes in. We didn't see that yesterday from Apple, and we did see it from Nvidia. Now, I'm not ready to say that things have changed yet because of that. I just think Nvidia is so front and center for so many people. And as we kind of rearrange portfolios going into a new year, Nvidia is definitely one of those stocks that's on the docket there. But sorry, man, I wish I had a better answer for you. If you have any thoughts on that, I'd like to hear that. Or if anyone in the chat has thoughts on that, I'd like to hear that. I wish I had something a little bit better for you on that, though. CEO Protection Unit. And then AMD, Lion, I know that you were mentioning AMD. That was one I didn't really check there. Let's see how AMD did yesterday. So AMD, obviously the inverse there of Nvidia. Those type of stocks like Watt should be banned. RFID trader, we do pretty well with those, right? Those, as a trader, like if you're actually trading, and I mean like active buying and selling, volatility is what you want. That's gonna cause you to see those gains that you're looking for. So I don't know. I don't want to say that they should be banned. I definitely want to see the SEC step up and maybe stop some of like these box job scam companies from going. Some of these Chinese companies that go thousands of %, dilute the shares, and then steal the money. Like, we don't need any of that stuff. But I don't know. These speculative smaller stocks, these have been pretty good for our community, honestly. Okay, good stuff there. It seems like all the runs happened pre-market today. It could be XSniper. We'll see how that opening print goes. Roaring Mouse, you played center. All right. You could probably teach me a thing or two about face-offs. I seem to get worse and worse as I got older. Maybe the competition just got better, but awesome. Love hearing about hockey players. Robert Smith mentioned in Hollow. Buffalo by Bicycle asking, is there more tax law selling today? Like I said, talking to some talking to some seasoned traders, they were telling me that the reason that we don't have a half day or a holiday today is just to make sure that everybody can get those tax loss sales in there. So I would imagine we'd see some. There's always somebody. Robert, here you mentioned Hollow real quick. You mentioned Hollow real quick with no other context. I will say Hollow is absolutely on the list of stocks to trade here today. I didn't see any. We didn't have any fresh. No, we didn't have any fresh news. This was from yesterday, but given what this thing did yesterday, the volume this thing put in yesterday, this is absolutely a trade on relative volume here today. We're going to be watching this probably all day, without a doubt. Rigetti will be on there. Okay, true that, but the SEC should do their job. Facts. I mean, the SEC should do a better job of doing their job, if you want me to be even more specific. I'm with you on that part of that. Okay. I think let's just dive. Oh, I didn't even realize 13's here. How long have you been waiting? I'm just going to bring him on. Forget it. 13, how long have you been waiting in the back? Am I really late here?
Yeah, I've been there for about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay. Well,
maybe another minute or two, but I'm trying to be here at 7:45.
Okay.
Or 8:45 if you're on the.
I was going to say 7:45 Central. Appreciate you. All right. Really good stuff. 13. Look, I ran through the news. The news is kind of light here today, as you would probably imagine. I'm pretty much ready to just dive right into the movers. Where do you think we should start?
We can start at the movers. I heard that piece about why Nvidia was up. Well, or I guess it was kind of. Was it flat or up yesterday?
It was actually up. It was the outperformer of the group when tech kind of got hit. What are your thoughts on this? Why do you think Nvidia was the chosen one yesterday?
Well, it wasn't the chosen one. Look at Broadcom. Broadcom had an okay day. It was,
but it closed lower. Broadcom closed lower yesterday.
On my daily chart, it was a green candle.
Yeah, because it gapped down in the pre-market. It opened. It closed higher than it opened, but it closed higher than the. I'll take the other side of that. Nvidia was stronger yesterday, without a doubt.
But that's fine, because here's the thing: Nvidia and Broadcom, those two are going to be. They're probably going to be the big semiconductor darlings next year, because they're the first two in line to start getting new. Silicon photonic chips made by Taiwan Semiconductor next year. I think we're going to see, a lot of that being a big buzzword next year, silicon photonics, and it has a lot to do with the interconnectivity between, their chips. They're trying to make it so that it's more light based instead of just electrons along metal rails. So we could end up seeing a lot of that talk come out next year. TSM is actually sending out some of the test packages for these new types of chips early next year, at least in the first half. But by the second half of next year, they're expected to start producing these. And Broadcom and Nvidia are the two first in line.
Okay. I'll tell you what, that Broadcom chart, I was thinking, it was just, here, let me go back to that. I was just taking a look at that, and I was thinking to myself, man, this has been real strong, and the volume that really took us to this level is extremely impressive. I'll tell you what, I'd love for this to consolidate for a couple of weeks into the new year. I'd feel pretty good about actually taking this long if we're able to do that. If we're able to kind of consolidate up here and then really kind of set 250 as that upside target to take out, I'd feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I don't know where Broadcom's going to go next year, but that's already a nice looking bull pennant right there. So it could start moving first week of next year.
Yep. And like I said, I mean, if we consolidate that first week instead of actually move, I really think that just kind of compresses the spring for the same type of thing that we're talking about. I think you get even bigger pop if we end up doing that. Let me ask you, I think you briefly mentioned it in your answer there. What do you think about TSM? I know you focused a little bit there on Nvidia and Broadcom, but what do you think about TSM as a 2025 play?
Oh, well, as a play, I think it would be, one of the more lucrative ones.
Yeah, me too. The reason I ask here, conditionally accepted had said in the chat here, TSM should have better margins. Conditionally accepted, I think you were referencing Broadcom, right? You're saying TSM should have better margins than Broadcom. I think that's what you meant, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, TSM is actually going to be raising their costs, so it's going to get more expensive for Nvidia and Broadcom and everybody that's going to use them. So their margins should improve, but they also have a lot of different supply chain headwinds and manufacturing headwinds. Like they really depend upon a lot of water to make these in Taiwan. And they don't have a whole lot of that. They really depend on typhoons and heavy rain to bring that supply. So there's going to be, a lot of headwinds for TSM geopolitically as well. So, but they also have the Arizona fab coming online, I think next year. I don't want to, say something incorrect.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. In fact, we've had news about their Arizona fab being, they're trying to speed up the production. They're trying to get it online faster and get more. You know what's funny about that though is that Arizona has its own water problems. So you were just talking about the water problems in Taiwan. They get this fab in Arizona, and you might be dealing with some of the same stuff halfway across the world there. So.
And I think they're supposed to be starting the 4-nanometer production in Arizona, and they already said that the costs comparatively to what it costs to make them in Taiwan, it's just going to be more in Arizona. It's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
So their margins will improve, but costs are going to go up for everybody. So I don't know how that's going to unfold, and I don't know the true impact of that, but as long as these other companies, other Mag 7, keep funneling money into these chip manufacturers, I don't see the end in sight quite yet.
Yeah, and so it sounds to me like basically what no matter what individual names, you certainly don't see an end chips and semiconductors in 2025. One of the other news stories that we were talking about earlier, I don't know if you caught this, 13. Okay, if you didn't, Dan Ives, who we like to talk a lot about on Happy Hour, calling for 25% growth in tech stocks in 2025. 25% growth after the year we just had. So we'll see if we get some more there with some of those.
Okay, and he based that on what?
Well, here I'll actually have I got the article here for you. But basically, here I'll read some more of the context here. Palantir, Salesforce, and Snowflake made the cut, but two Magnificent Seven giants left out from Dan Ives' 10 tech winners for the AI revolution. So again, the big crux of what they're saying here is that the tech winners are going to be AI driven or AI connected, and it looks to me like the AI theme into 2025 is the big thing that he's talking about. No surprises there.
Okay, I was just kind of waiting to hear if he said anything about space having anything to do with that. I think it's going to be a massive component.
That's actually, you know what? That is an excellent question here. Let me see. No. So I just did a search for the word space in that article since I was just giving it to the chat here. No, space was not mentioned here. Here's his list of top 10 winners for the AI revolution: Nvidia, Microsoft, Palantir, Tesla, Alphabet, MongoDB. This is a new one here. Pegasystems, PEGA, Snowflake, and Salesforce. So interesting.
How about the one that Buffett's been buying? I think it was like VeriSign or something like that. It's a big internet controller. He's been
that's not on this list. That's not on this list, but that's interesting.
Yeah, we can dive into that.
Yeah, sorry. Look. When you get the wheels turning early 13, that's sometimes I just go off on tangent.
Oh, well, you call it wheels. I call it rabbit hole.
Wheels, rabbit hole, tomato. It doesn't matter. All right. You want to break down some of the movers here today?
Let's go for it.
All right. Let's go ahead and do that. Let me flip over to the movers tool. We'll start right at the top of the list. ITP, IT Tech Packaging. Penny stock yesterday, and I know I don't like penny stocks, but I'm trying not to poo-poo them, especially after what we saw at IDAI here recently. As a penny stock yesterday, it's up 250% here today. I don't see any news on this at all. Not even fresh, not even like stale news here. Mm-hmm. Float right in the butter zone of what we normally do, 9.5 million here. On average, stock trades 400,000 shares. We've traded 40 million here this morning. What do you make of this one? I guess I should check the short interest. Negligible. Nothing. How about the financials?
They got about a quarter or two of cash.
They have some cash and they're cash flow positive. But
operating expenses.
Yeah.
They do have a 9.5 million share float. I think it's moving on relative volume. It started to see some movement yesterday.
Not changing.
I don't know what. Well, this company is a paper company. They make paper products in China. I don't know what the catalyst was that's suddenly got paper products on everybody on the trading radar. But I think it's just because this is a long forgotten name, or maybe just nobody even realized it was there. Has a low float, and it looks like somebody was just thinking, hey, maybe we can push this thing because it's like it's down to what almost, it was like 35 cents yesterday.
Yeah, I believe that was here. Let me see if I can actually get that low print. 23 cents was the actual low print.
Okay. And then for some reason, it just started running.
And it spiked right to 35. And then in the after hours, it really ran. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't exactly know what the story is here with this. But it's a paper product company. And I think it was just noticed because it just had all those parameters to make a move or move. That's about
okay.
What I see when it comes to things like these.
We actually just had a discussion earlier about wishing that the SEC did their job. Maybe this is one of those that this would apply to here.
This is just another one that's going to fly right past them.
Okay, ITP here. $1.10 looks like $1.20 your upside target. Dollar is going to be one of your downside targets. We look to be trying to consolidate in that area. We'll see if this one gets rolling here. APM, this is another one that was on the movers list early. This was actually at the top of the movers list for most of the morning here. Looks like this did trade up close to 675, although it's backed off that number so far, trying to hold the VWAP here at 480. Same deal here with this one. No news on this one. And then the other thing here, also in our wheelhouse on the low end of that range, 2.7 million shares in the float here. 13, you got any thoughts on this one?
It's a biotech, and I don't like some of these speculative biotech names going into the next administration with RFK and Health and Human Services. I think we're going to see some FDA shakeup there that could delay the approval of some of these things. So not really sure. I'm too big into the biotech space. I don't see any reason why it's moving. Maybe it's relative volume. Yeah, that's what it seems to be. Yesterday we had almost 5 million shares traded, which is a large increase from the 10 to 50,000 that it's traded every day. So big RVol change. I think that's the big reason why we're getting this movement here. As far as the resistance level goes, it looks like $8 if we continue to push up into 5. I think we could go as high as 8. Don't know if we'll actually get there, but 8 seems to be a big resistance level. I just don't have any other parameters on this. Let's take a look at the financials here. Yeah, nothing on the income statement that I can really draw on. It looks like their cash is almost negligible, so they might have to do a raise. But this is a real company that's planning on staying in business. So reverse splits, they did it last year. Yeah, I don't have any real read on what this company has going on with it today. There must be some kind of news coming and it's being front run, or it's just the RVol, like I said earlier.
Okay. There you go. Really good stuff there on APM. We'll see if we get a trade on this one here today. God, you know what? No, we'll wait it out here. Next here is going to be VR. You'll see in a sec here, folks. Next here is going to be VRME. This is Verify Me. Stock was 80 cents yesterday. We actually tested 280 here today. Verify Me director, CEO, and president Adam Stedham buys 22,000 shares at 71 cents. So pretty good. Pretty good timing there for him. Anyway, 22,000 shares, 71 cents. That ripped the stock. Excuse me, that ripped the stock here. We got that news yesterday after hours. So it looks like this is moving here on a Form 4. We've traded this one here before. 8.89 million shares in the float, right in our butter zone area, if you will. And then the other thing here is that we've got some recent analyst coverage. I know on some of these smaller ones, we don't often have analyst coverage. This is one that we do. Barrington Research has a $1.50 price target on this. We're currently up 134% here. We're currently sitting at 187. So 13, what do you think here? Ticker VRME, Verify Me.
Well, I don't see any other reason why it's moving. It seems like the volume has been really picking up the past month. And I guess this must be because it's been basing. There must be something else that has happened earlier in the year or not in the year, but earlier, a month ago, because all of a sudden this the stock really started to get a lot of volume throughout the month of December. And without going back to find out why, I'd be curious to know what's been going on, because now the RSI is really extended.
You ready?
What's that?
You ready? I got your reason right here. November 26th, Verify Me announces an extension of a share repurchase plan. The board approved the extension of the share repurchase plan to December 31st, 2025. So a year from today. So they're basically extending a buyback, a share repurchase program. That news was new November 26th. That's got to be it.
I mean, that's kind of tracks. I mean, we started getting more volume up into that news, and then it really started to take off.
And then look, 13, December 3rd, we had the same guy, the CEO, Adam Stedham, bought 11,000 shares, then bought 8,000 shares, then bought 16,000 shares. All of that happened in the first half of December. So there you go. That to me, that's got to be the reason.
Okay. I mean, to me, it seems like the likely reason too. And obviously the CEO knows, hey, we're going to be buying back our shares. I may as well pick some up too.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay. Well, in real time, we just use Benzinga Pro to kind of get to the bottom of this.
Bang. Thank you, 13. Handshakes all around. Firm handshakes all around.
So that's the reason why it's moving, apparently. But looking at the 5-minute chart, we lost VWAP about half an hour ago, and we're coming down to the 65 EMA. So I think with this one, I'd probably want to wait and see what happens at the open, because when they start sinking like this into the open, that usually means we're going to bottom sooner than later. So I'd be waiting to see what happens at the open. I think this could end up being a good one in the short term, like maybe a short-term morning bounce, but I don't know how it's going to trade the rest of the day.
Okay. Definitely one to keep on our list. Pre-market volume here telling us that we might have some action here. Ticker VRME, Verify Me, running on an insider purchase or a series of them. Okay. Next here on the list, boy, the movers list is changing around. It's doing everything it can. You know what? I want to skip ahead here. Jay Rice is not here. It's his own fault. It's his own fault for being late. We're going to the one and only. We're going to Mullen. I can't even believe that this is on here, folks. I really can't. There is and here's the news. There is a special meeting being scheduled because, drum roll, Mullen is going to discuss a potential reverse split.
You don't say.
I mean, color me shocked, 13. Mullen announces the sale of Mullen One to Mr. Appliance franchise of Owing Mills, Maryland, expanding the home service. Terms were not disclosed on there. But also, again, producer Michael here doing a wonderful job uncovering what's going on here. Mullen's special meeting for the reverse split. Do you have the deets on that? I don't even know if they've released them. Let me know if you do. Mullen is back, folks. Can we say that I have to check with legal? Can we say that this is the company of reverse splits? Because I feel like all they've done is reverse split this thing into the ground, right? Well, 1 for 25 reverse split, 1 for 9 reverse split, and then 2 back to back, 1 for 100 reverse splits. One there, December 21st of 2023, and then September 19th of 2024. So not even a year apart.
Yeah, that's a lot. I think FCell still holds the title.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, if they are going to do a reverse split, like have you seen FCell? I mean, they've got a little bit more than that, but yeah.
You know what? Let me see what the calendar says here for FCell. Here you go.
It's like one more, but
yeah. And here the only difference. There's Jay Rice. Here we go. So all we had to do. Jay wasn't here the entire morning. Who knows what he was doing? Probably getting some type of French pastry or whatever for breakfast. But the way we get Jay Rice to show up on stream here is talk about Mullen. Jay, I don't know if you caught the news, but Mullen is going to do a special meeting to see if they're going to do another reverse split. What do you think about that? Mullen along here, Jay?
And what is?
Oh, for heaven's sake!
Did they say specifically what reverse split how big that's going to be, because like they don't have a big float.
No, because the only reason they're doing it is to maintain NASDAQ compliance.
Yeah. But I mean, like what I was saying is like, what I'm asking is how, what is it like? Is it a 5-for-1? Is it a 10-for-1? We're going to go into like sub 1 million shares? They don't say.
They haven't said. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll have to see what happens from the special meeting. Jay says it's fantastic. So I think I know why he's now that I was just laughing. Comment made me laugh, but I think what's going on here, Jay, are you setting up for another short? Are you setting up for another short, Jay? Because your last one was an absolute monster. So anyway, so saw that news come across the wire here. Producer told me about that news this morning, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
Oh,
anyway.
Ryan, if they go through the Saudi, well, it's just going to be another lucid. With Mullen, though, they have a.
Here's Tom. Haven't they already done a ton of reverse splits already? Tom, as a matter of fact, they have, which is why we're laughing at this, because this company, man, oh God.
And with a big short interest, I mean, this could really squeeze too.
Okay.
There we go. See, that's what I was looking for.
Oh, here we go. Look at this, dude. Producer is just out here. Proposal 1, reverse stock split of the company's outstanding common stock at an exchange ratio of 1-for-2 to 1-for-100. This is honestly the range, 1-for-2. I mean, God.
It narrows it down, doesn't it, though?
Who earlier was talking about the SEC doing their job?
Right.
Who earlier? Here we go. Ray is telling us the 200-day moving average is near $175 for Mullen. I mean, this is like I know I'm laughing. I don't want to be laughing. I like, this is not healthy. This is not a good thing. I'll be dead by the time Mullen uses all of their tax laws.
See, this is why we're laughing. This is why we're laughing, because of comments like this, and it's
man,
true.
Oh man, oh
it's
man.
True.
Okay, anyway. Jaywalker. The range actually seems quite reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay, we're having too much fun. Actually, there's no such thing as too much fun, especially not on New Year's Eve.
Mulligan.
Can I get a mulligan? Change the name from Mullen to Mulligan. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. X Sniper, are you saying that Mullen just broke the pre-market highs? No. Okay. You're talking about a different stock. Thank God, because that's not what we would have needed. All right. Let's keep rolling here real quick. Next one's going to be FLYE. This is Fly E Group. This is another penny stock, traded up towards 160, came all the way back in, pretty much gave everything up here. We have no fresh news. The freshest news here was from December 23rd. That was a week ago. So it looks like this is just kind of moving on momentum here. It's got a small percent of the float shorted here. Really nothing crazy. No insider transactions at all. Float right in that wheelhouse, 7.75 million. 13, what do you think on this one?
Well, what did it do on the 23rd? How did this react to that to the news it had?
Okay, so official e-bike provider for NYC's .trade-in program. Let me go to the daily chart and we can see how this reacted.
It doesn't look like it did a whole lot. It didn't seem to do a whole lot until yesterday.
It actually did gap up here. So on the 23rd, we went from 41 cents to 48 cents.
Okay. Yep. But I think it may have just kind of was, not on everybody's radar when it happened. And it seems like the big move came yesterday.
Yeah, sure does. And I think that this might just kind of lend itself to, I don't really think that this e-bike trade-in program news is really scans a whole lot. I mean, to me, it seems like this is just a group of people looking to trade something. We had talked on Happy Hour yesterday about a couple of these folks being kind of plugged into some other chat rooms, and they've noticed that a lot of these smaller stocks are really, I don't want to say pumped, because I'm not sure if that's technically what's happening, but they're effectively being run, right? It's a coordinated effort to try and drive some of these things higher. Maybe this is one of those. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, their website is kind of interesting. You go in there immediately, and they're putting images and stuff of New York. They're saying free shipping on all New York City orders. Well, it's kind of interesting, but anyway, it's probably, you're right. You're probably just another junk company, but I think it's interesting how they're really pushing the whole New York thing with this particular product. Anyway, levels for that? I see that Sidu is getting a mention. Let me take a look at FLYE's chart real quick.
Yeah, Sidu is getting a mention and is rolling here. No new news though. We can break it down whenever you're ready. ONCO, same deal.
Yeah, FLY beneath its VWAP, kind of going sideways into the open here. Let's see if it can hold above its 65 EMA after it opens, but it's going to need to get back above VWAP for more upside.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Do you want to do Sidu next? Let's do ONCO here and then we can go
and Sidu. Yep.
So ONCO here, impressive volume here in the pre-market, no doubt. This stock, again, 40 cents yesterday, $1.40 prints here today on ONCO. No fresh news on this one at all. It is popping here, though. I guess let's take a look at the short interest. Negligible short interest there. Share structure, again, right in the same wheelhouse. Stop me if you've heard that before. Looking like the same thing here. So ONCO trading higher here. Looks like 145. Your high print of the pre-market.
Yeah, they earlier this month they've been getting notices from the NASDAQ about late quarterly report filings. I mean, it's pretty much down the line with SMCI. Do you compliance notices? I mean, what's the news today? Are some folks like getting some hints that they are going to be within compliance? Or
there's no news today. So,
okay. So the only other thing would be, we have relative volume. I would say not really. Not exactly sure why we're getting 200% out of this, other than it's a low float, and it's just another one of these NASDAQ compliance plays. Maybe folks are just jumping into it to front run the recompliance news.
Seems like a target. Traders think they can move.
I
would. Yeah, and I'm with you, 13, because I can't say for certain. I can't say for certain if that's what's going on, but gosh, it sure feels like that. So
let's take a look at the chart here and see what kind of price action we're getting in the morning here. So we popped just about several minutes ago above VWAP, and now we're coming back down to a support level that was from previous price action earlier this morning. Looks like we're losing that. So let's just see what happens with VWAP. If it starts trading under VWAP towards the open, let's just let it fall out, and when it finally wakes up from falling out of bed, it'll probably turn around and provide some better trades. But for now, I'd be just was waiting to see what happens with VWAP.
Okay. Really good stuff there on ONCO. Okay, let me answer a couple of questions here from the chat. First one, pre-market prep with Dennis is done. Dennis and Joel split off to do their own thing. They are elsewhere. German Hoyos, could you tell me why MSTX is falling more than 20%? Actually, as a matter of fact, I can. A lot of times I can't do that, but yes, I can. Of course, MSTX is going to be your levered MicroStrategy ETF. This is going to be your 2x long MicroStrategy levered ETF. We had a story earlier today that Bitcoin's levered play MicroStrategy is undergoing a huge divergence. So shares are underperforming as Bitcoin is overperforming. What's really going on here is there's talk about MicroStrategy increasing the available shares by a tremendous amount, basically moving, let me see if I've still got that, those stats right here so I don't screw this up. Yeah, going from 330 million shares to 10.3 billion shares, and then using the proceeds from that to buy more Bitcoin, right? So what's happening here, the TLDR to your question, this is a levered ETF of a product that is a levered Bitcoin play, and it's starting to diverge. So the underlying asset of MSTX is starting to diverge from the Bitcoin price. And because this is 2x levered, that divergence is twice as bad. So there you go. There's your answer. MST, and the chat already helping you out here. MSTZ, the opposite of that, right? Inverse MSTR daily target. All right. So it looks like MSTZ, I still have some. MSTZ is the 2x short ETF. She paid nicely yesterday. There you go. So hopefully that answers your question. That's why. All right, 13. We can get back to more movers. We can do levels. What do you want to do here?
Well, we still need to take a look at the SIDU.
Yeah, let's do that.
And we can also take a look at Tesla, since we get asked about that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're going to take a look at Tesla anyway here. Here's SIDU. I've got no fresh news. We had news yesterday. Sidu Space reflects on a transformative 2024 and prepares for continued growth in 2025. So you basically got a PR there saying this is what happened this year and this is what we're hoping happens next year. That's not fresh news, certainly not responsible for driving at 20% here. But it looks like this is trading up on nice volume. What do you got here, Sidu?
Well, this is the one that has, their LizzieSat satellites. They're, they make satellite constellations. And they already have. This is the one that has the contract with Lone Star to do a data center on or in the orbit of the moon. And this is kind of what I was talking about with semiconductors in space, or if the semiconductor companies are going to get a lift and space has something to do with it, because it seems like there's a lot of companies that might end up going this route where they start putting data centers in space. Because basically free solar energy, the cooling is more abundant.
Yeah, you just open the door.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of pressure off of the power grids that we have down here, and the need for immense power to run these things. So I'm just kind of curious to see if we end up going the route where we do end up with a whole bunch of data centers in space. But this is one of the companies that's already paid to do it. And I don't know if they have any launches coming up. I imagine they do at some point, but
speaking of launches, we had a SpaceX launch this morning, didn't we?
SpaceX launch. This company actually had a launch on the 21st, so about 10 days ago.
Okay,
with SpaceX. So I would have to look at SpaceX's schedule, see if there's anything with Sidus coming up, soon. I don't think I recall seeing anything, but I'd have to look again. And SpaceX's schedule is available for anybody online.
Okay. Jay saying that the data centers in space is one thing. They still have to power them in space.
Fortunately, there's a big old abundant ball of energy.
I was going to say the big fusion reactor out there that you can use for energy might be sufficient.
I know solar doesn't seem like the solution right now, but
yeah, but if you're in space with I feel like you're going to have much higher efficiency. If you're in, there's not a rainstorm to knock it out.
This is why, space solar. I mean, there's a bunch of other names that we have on that space list that build those solar arrays. So that could be one to watch as well, because they are going to need that, and they are going to need. I think there's other sources of fuel that you can send up there that lasts a long time. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because I'm not sure if that's the case or not.
Sure.
But solar would be the big provider of energy for everything that's out there, and it already is.
Yeah. And Rob, I guess I should have led with this. This is the more obvious question. Appreciate you, Rob. It's much more intense. You're closer to the sun. You're in orbit. You don't have to worry about extracting that energy through the atmosphere. And
thinking about it, giving us another breadcrumb here, lunar launch set for the end of February. And that has been running every time that has a launch. Sometimes they have to sell the news, but they usually run up into these launches.
Harvest black hole energy. See, that's where you get the child in me. I've spent probably 20 years of my life reading about black holes and being fascinated by huge energy events like gamma ray bursts and things of that nature. So I'm all about that. I don't think just to be clear, I don't think we're close to harvesting black hole energy, but man, I love reading about stuff like that. I turn into a little kid science fiction nerd when I read stuff like that. It's just awesome.
Lion Atlas, you've hit the nail on the head with everything that we've pretty much been trading all year, and we've come across so many of these crappy companies that have no business making the moves they do, but all they've done is just release a PR, like they're saying, oh, we filed a patent application for something that does AI, or we've we're in talks.
Well, guess what, 13? We have another one of those today. Ask and you shall receive, baby. Ticker MLGO. Releasing a PR here this morning. MicroAlgo announces the launch of full adder operation quantum algorithm technology based on CPU registers and quantum gate computing. Here you go, folks. We got a shitty company. We're going to throw an we're going to throw a quantum PR out there. Let's watch it grow. Up 65% here in the pre-market already. MLGO looks like we hit a high of 781. We've backed off that a little bit. Found some support there at the 651 VWAP. This is set to go. Volume is impressive here in the pre-market. What do you make of this, 13?
Oh, I think you just nailed it already. And it's funny that we're like, we're still here doing the same thing with these junky names, but hey, they make us money, right?
Indeed.
Oh, hey, there's some great news on SIDU, but MicroAlgo, let's take a look here. The float, 9.8 million, right in that sweet spot. The PR is great. I bet the financials look like hell, though. I guess they're not too bad. I don't have a real read on their income, but I mean, their cash position, the only one that I have is what, 60 million? So
yeah, they do have cash, but they burn it every year. Now they're not, or at least they have been recently. So yeah, it's not terrible. It's not as bad as I initially thought. Yeah. I'll give them that. Give them that. I thought it was going to be horrific. It's not.
I'd say when it comes to the news at this point with this one, like, who cares? Let's just look at the chart, see if we can get some technical angles, and we'll trade this thing if it sets up nicely.
Larry H, dude, you are going to start the register rings this morning in at 411, out at 711. $3, dude. Anytime you have a buy or sell at 7-Eleven, that's cause for celebration here.
Buy yourself a slushie, man.
Yeah, really good stuff there, Larry. Well done here today. Crow saying, I'm surprised that Adam Aaron, the AMC CEO, hasn't dropped some AI pitch. Crow, don't worry, man. It's 9:26 in the morning. We have plenty of time for him to do something like that still today. So, okay.
AI seating, really? AI seating in theaters. That's going to be the next thing.
Look, it's got to correctly figure out what the best seat for your viewing pleasure is in the theater, and then it's going to put you there. Real quickly here, Tom, isn't a black hole something that pulls in energy and light and never lets it out? Kind of like Mullen. Well, it is kind of like Mullen in that regard. Indeed, it's got a gravitational force so strong that not even light can escape its icy grip. That does sound a little bit like Mullen. The more I talk about it, the more it sounds like Mullen. Look out. Well, okay.
They do emit gamma rays. So there is something they do shoot out.
Well, okay. They also emit Hawking radiation, if you want to get technical about that as well. But nonetheless, nothing gets out of Mullen. So maybe we'll call it worse than a black hole. Maybe we'll call Mullen a black hole stock going forward.
This coin right here. Speaking of coins, Webcoin saying MLGO is a China company, so the convert to RMB is about 0.4. Yeah, so thank you for that, because I was kind of wondering if that was the actual amount they had. That seems more likely. They still have crap on their balance sheet.
This is the most hilarious thing thinking about it has said in 2024. He waited till the last day to say it. AMC is changing its symbol to AIMC.
That's a good one.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Loser 101, interesting YouTube handle. We support you. You're a winner in my book. Hello, guys. Thanks for all of the info this year. Much appreciated. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for the props. We look forward to continuing to do that in 2025. I'd be curious to know what other information we can do to make your trading day better. What can we do to make the hangout in the morning better for you?
I think, before we open here in 2 minutes, I'll just take this moment to say thank you, everybody in the chat, for being such a great audience and, helpful trading partners with all of us here, and some of the new folks in the chat, and some of us who've been here for a while. Really appreciate all of y'all. And I hope that we see everybody back here for 2025, ready to make some more money, ready to learn some more, and become better traders and secure a better financial future for us all.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I second that. I know sometimes I can get a little surly here, but I appreciate you folks sticking through that and hanging out here. I will say, again, one of the reasons why I'm so into doing this is because I'm a self-taught trader, right? I didn't have any type of formal training in college or from my family. I didn't have any type of silver spoon or anything like that. So I had to figure this out myself, and being given an opportunity to then share what I've learned with others that are trying to do the same thing, it's really rewarding. And I'll tell you what, the people that I've met in this business, make it totally worth it. This is not, I don't ever want to leave this business, because the connections that I've made, the human connections that I've made, have been tremendous. 13, you're one of those. During COVID, you visited the office that I worked at in Detroit, and the rest is history, as they say. So
I had a lot of fun with you guys.
That goes for you too. And we will continue to try and add value with everything that we do here. So that much I can promise you going forward.
Love it all, folks. We are 15
Let's trade,
seconds
baby.
from the open. Let's have a nice final day of 2024 and bring in the new year.
Okay, that sounds good to me. 5 seconds. Here we go.
I am, let's see, I got ITP up. Okay, so ITP held VWAP going into the open here. Let's see what that does. VRME, that is about to fall. It might be falling through at 65 EMA. That's what it's about to do right now. FLYE, this one looks like it's trying to push its way up to VWAP out of the gate here. Let's see what we get with that. ONCO also trying to hold above VWAP.
APM trying to go through VWAP right here.
Looks like MLGO is holding up VWAP, but it's not having a great time trying to get up to the beyond 780, the pre-market high. It looks like it should be doing that. I have 825 as the next upside target, but if we lose VWAP here, then...
Okay, sorry. I was just working on a scalp there with APM. That was awesome. That was green on the screen real quick here on APM. Nice little move. This actually might go a little bit more, but I'll wait for it to set up.
Hollow looks like this wants to go higher. We have 838 as the pre-market high, trying to get back above VWAP. So if that recaptures it and gets over 725, I think it might have a good shot at going to 850.
Okay.
ONCO losing VWAP going lower. This might need to wait. Wait for that one to shake out first. It's struggling to hold above $1.
Mullen dipped and tried to bounce. Don't trust it. VSTM, that dipped, trying to recapture the VWAP. Careful there. EYEN, this is a penny stock that had a huge pre-market. That's also weak out of the open here. What was the other one that you mentioned?
MLGO, I think that one's going right now. It's trying to.
FLYE, I think, was the other one.
Okay.
That's trading up off the dollar. We got it. 13. We got it.
So just kind of watching a couple of these. FLYE, if that might have a date with its VWAP, and then I'm not sure if it's going to break through it or not. ITP, this one losing VWAP. This one's likely headed to maybe 70 cents. Before it finds a little bit of support. Looks like VRME is trying to push up to VWAP.
Okay. I actually took VRME off my screen. No wonder it tried to do that here. Tesla had a nice little push to 428, came back in 4 points and is holding there. I'll tell you what, I kind of feel like Tesla might go higher here. I think this is kind of a good play here on Tesla. We'll see. I took a little Tesla here, just a starter position. So I'm going to try and give this a wide berth. We'll see if this ends up moving. I do have a feeling that Tesla goes higher. By the way, good morning, Mike. Mike shows up and just says Tesla. Okay, yeah. Mike, that's a good omen for today.
428 seems to have been a pretty, interactive level here. I mean, ever since Friday, we got support from it. This week, we've been trying to deal with it as resistance. So 28, looking for a close over that might take this up more. But, this 417 area that we've been getting support in, if we lose that, then I think we could go much lower. We also have the 20-day SMA that the price is currently riding. So if we start closing underneath that, then I think that creates a risk for more downside.
Okay, that'll actually be, I was going to say 417. That actually looks like a fairly decent stop out area here. I'm glad that this initially moved lower because I would like to kind of add there. But we'll see if that ends up working. Mike, you're welcome. We're going to keep trying to do that. I missed it. There was a lot going on this morning. I missed it. Nonetheless, Mike, it's good to see you this morning. Happy New Year's.
ITP, halted to the downside.
Ooh. Here you go. Halted to the downside, 83 cents there.
Looks like
and actually, 13, give me 1 sec here. I'll be RB.
No problem. Looks like ONCO is trying to push up into the pre-market highs. Pre-market high is 145. It might actually go into a halt here. Starting to see some consolidation with these shares at the 123 price level. Let's see what happens here in another couple of ticks. Do we halt? And halted. So that's ONCO halted to the upside. MLGO couldn't get up to 825. Couldn't actually get up to the pre-market high either. This one's now halted to the downside. So we have 3 active halts going on here right now, folks. Yep, Webcoin. You saw it before I did. Looks like Hollow also failed to capture the VWAP, even though trading above it. So that might see some weakness as well. Seeing a lot of weakness with these names that we all cover this morning. What is treating everybody good so far? Move to 5 minutes. ORB says conditionally accepted. Let me just take a look at ORB. Unless you're saying, unless that's something else. I don't see ORB on my broker. Okay, let's see. VRME, that's down and sideways now. Might be going lower.
All right.
NXU OPTT. Let's see here with those. I'll look at NXU. That was a mover from yesterday, I believe, right?
Yeah, it sure was. We actually had some news here with NXU. NXU files to sell 114.5 million shares of common stock. And it's higher on that, isn't it?
Did they close that? And what was the price? Because if it's beneath where it's at, then yeah, it's going to rip.
NXU here. So that was, shoot, I don't have those in my notes. Sorry, 13. I don't have that on here. Sorry. This stock up 47%. Right to the VWAP here. Oh my God. Tesla, huge pull. What the F? What happened, Mike? Oh, you're short Tesla. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So coming down to that level I just mentioned not too long ago, I think it was 417. That's the level to watch for. If we lose that, then we could head much lower, like maybe lower than 400. But that could take a little bit of time because we need to see multiple closes beneath that level.
It's still trying. It just tried to bounce right there and couldn't. I can't believe I might end up taking an L on this that early in the day. I took a small position. I'm gonna ride this out. I'm gonna see if this bounces. Maybe we'll add to that and try to sell into pops or something like that.
Well, it's end of the year. Still going to see some selling, and it looks like a lot of these names. It's not having the follow through. We've talked about how they might not have the follow through, but hold on. APM, I like the way the MACD is looking on this one. If we still hold above V up, even though we're starting to put in some upper shadows here, let's see what happens if I think just keep an eye on APM. This one might be able to move up through 645 and take out the pre-market high. Just be careful with it, though.
Tesla currently trying to hold on to that 417. I can't believe how bad that trade went against me that fast. That's one of the worst trades I've made in a while on the show here. Interesting. All right, we'll see if that loses 417. It might have to end up taking an L here. Not good. Not great.
It's tax loss selling.
Yeah, Mark saying, guess you did levels for OPTT. We're currently at a level here. This is your pre-market high, 135. Actually looks like we're trying to bust this here.
I am just watching to see if VRME is going to get up to VWAP. Did a really nice, it got some good support from the 65 EMA. So looks like it's trying to turn around. Not sure yet if we're getting that, but it's looking good so far.
My God, Tesla is this is crazy, dude. I can't believe this. I'm sorry. I even said I was taking a starter here. I hope nobody followed me into this. This is just a straight red move down. I should have sold this earlier. Lion, we got some work to do now. Got to figure out where the bounce spot is here and kind of work this back. I know it's a starter, but man, I was not expecting minus 10 points off that move. That's wild.
I mean, you could possibly get a bounce off 400 even strike level. But
I'm not waiting until 400. I mean, that's another 14 points lower than where we're at right now. Man, oh man, that was a bad opening trade. I'm sorry about that. I feel responsible for that.
VRME though, that's the one I was watching. That did what I was hoping for, but now it's pulling back off that VWAP. So I don't know what, if this is going to have any continuation or not. But if it gets through VWAP, then we might see some more legs here on VRME. ONCO just opened.
Pulling here. So sorry, real quick. Netflix pulling, Amazon pulling, Apple pulling a little, although not nearly as bad. Even Costco is pulling.
There goes ONCO. It just opened and it's trying to push higher. 145 is a pre-market high. Let's look around here again. Still see that VRME hasn't pushed through its VWAP yet.
MLGO, this halted earlier. Okay. So this is actually trying to bounce here in MLGO. Remember, that was the one where they just kind of threw quantum into the press release, it looks like. We'll see if we end up bouncing there.
Yeah, ONCO still trying to get above that 145 pre-market high. VRME that pulled after, so that was okay, perfect. That can do whatever it wants. Then that whole thought on VRME was to get back up to VWAP, and once it did, if it breaks out, great. We can trade it again. If not, it's going lower. All right, next thing. So ONCO. Now ONCO looks to be the strongest right now. That one just pushed over its pre-market high. Let me see if I can get some levels here on this one. Oh, I've actually got levels from this from a long time ago. We traded this.
APM, sorry to interrupt you. APM, really good bounce from that 516 VWAP. That looks good. Volume is not what we want to see here. I'd actually really like to see that volume grow a little bit, but this is actually a pretty sweet bounce from that spot.
ONCO, I don't know if it will, but it would not be surprising to me if this got to like 205. Like another 50, 55 cents from here. It just there's a 65 EMA on the daily right there. I don't have any other levels before that.
Okay.
All my levels are they start at basically 3. So
okay, this is trying to hold above the pre-market high so far. It looks like it's actually trying to back test that level there.
Mm-hmm. VRME still getting some support from the 65 EMA. So if it continues to go sideways and get that support, there's still a good chance this could push through the VWAP and go higher. Okay. Looks like BBAI sold off out of the gate, and now it is getting some support and trying to turn around and get back up to VWAP. Currently about to hit VWAP right now. Let's see if it can get through that.
Real quickly here, SGMO. I think we've talked about this one recently here. This is shellacked today, down 52.6%. They're trading lower after Wells Fargo cut its price from 3 to 2, but I'm pretty sure that there was something else with this one. Yeah. So here you go. So yesterday, after hours, Singamo Therapeutic reveals Pfizer's decision to terminate the global collaboration and license agreement between the parties. So SGMO was going to have a deal with Pfizer. Pfizer is terminating that deal. As a result, SGMO is absolutely shellacked here today. And this also getting a re-rating price target change from Wells Fargo. Now, what that means for us, possible bounce here from this $1, 110 level. No position for me on this one. I'm not trading this one, but this is what's going on here with SGMO.
So just kind of looking to see what's going on here. NXU just got slapped down from trying to get above VWAP. Has a big wall at 209. So we take that out. This could really start to move. There's a lot of levels I have on this one, but the biggest one to get over right now is VWAP. APM.
I have VWAP at 216. What's yours at?
Mine is at 207.
Okay. So right about where the stock's at right now. Okay. Gotcha.
Hollow is pushing up now. It had a little bit of a sell-off down to 616, and now we are making our way up towards 850.
Is
That's right.
Moderna moving on that Pfizer news, as Rich is asking? Well, Moderna's up here. Would that really affect Moderna, the SGMO thing? I don't think so, Rich. That's what I want to say. I know Moderna is moving nicely here to the upside, but I don't think this is related to the Pfizer thing, the Pfizer Singamo thing.
Yeah, Brian, I'm looking for Hollow to get up to 850. Right now, it's got to get through a lot of these pre-market levels that it's been putting in, and that's like, it's already past 765. It's working on trying to get above 780, and then we still have the pre-market high of 883. But I'm looking at 850 as an upside target here for Hollow. So we'll see what we get there with that one.
And Rich, I don't think so. I don't think that this has any connection to Moderna. That's a really good question, but I think the answer to that is no.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea, and I bet if we looked a little deeper, we might be able to find some kind of connection. Yeah. But that would take us away from trying to trade these movers right now. ONCO pushing up into new highs, hit 155.
Volume actually looks good here. Maybe this is starting to feel a little heavy. I don't know.
MLGO still going lower, and it looks like it could roll over if we don't start to reverse soon. MACD is showing that.
MLGO, I don't see it on the scanner.
This is one we talked about earlier.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I have to enter it. I just didn't.
Gotcha.
I thought it might be moving around.
Yeah, so if it doesn't turn around here and try to recapture VWAP, I think we may see some more weakness in MLGO.
Dan Ives on CNBC right now talking about Palantir, which is moving lower out of the open here. Palantir is actually bouncing. By the way, so too is Tesla.
That looks like a bear flag. I don't know if I'd want to buy that bounce in Palantir. That could frap both, I think. Really clear bear flag to me. I wouldn't touch it.
Okay.
BBAI kind of has the same setup. If BBAI can't recapture VWAP, then I think that goes lower too. ONCO is halted again after hitting 160.
Here, Tesla is continuing to bounce, and it is time to add Captain Cloudy. Did add here a little bit on Tesla. We're just going to try and get this back to break even. Still, that first buy really poor. That's okay. We'll work to trade. I'm not green. Just to be clear, Lion, good job on your ad. I did add down there at 416-ish. I'm not green on it yet, though.
Oh, dang. James, you're sitting pretty, dude. You sold 2/3 of your Palantir at 82.50 and you're letting the rest ride. If you don't mind me asking, what's your cost?
I believe his cost was $8.
Oh, get out of here, dude.
I believe
retire.
It was.
Just go retire.
The thing that's important about this comment here, it's one thing to hold stock for a long time, but remember, you don't actually get those gains until you book that trade. So good stuff there on Palantir.
Yeah, I mean, with gains like that, he's got to just be playing with the house's money.
Tesla hard for me to say. Tesla tested VWAP. See if this moves higher there.
We're getting some recovery here in ITP. Still needs to get over $1. It's above its VWAP, but it needs to get over $1. And then once it does, 105 seems to be a resistance area from this morning.
How's Mullen doing after its news here? So Mullen's trying to bounce.
VRME is still getting some pretty good support. If it goes over VWAP, this might be a good one.
Well, watch this volume here, still looking pretty good. I'd like to see some more volume pops there. I'd like to see some more volume spikes, but we'll see. Tesla actually still hanging out here at its VWAP. Would love to see it move through this. We will go green here if Tesla's able to recapture that. 420.50 looks to be one of those spots it needs to move through. Last day of window dressing, says Beach Bum. Yep, might be. Might be. I'll be curious to see where we close here today. I know that first move out of the open there was lower, but the entire market seems to be bouncing back there, most notably the NQ. So obviously the tech stocks here, Tesla following that. Way to not panic on that move down and instead add on it.
VRMA breaking through VWAP.
Did it do it? Did it do the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Sure
so now
did.
we just I just need to see it close above here now. So that would be the next step. But that was a nice move through VWAP. Needs to start closing above it, and that should help lift it further.
Good stuff there on a VRME. And now I am green on Tesla, Lion, so I can join you in that. Let's roll. Mike here mentioning Ryan 13, interesting pop on federal mortgage names, FNMA and FMCC. This is going to be Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. These are definitely in the news recently. Ackman yesterday was saying he's been long these for a long time. And that they might release the conservatorship or might release these names from conservatorship. And that would be really good for these two names. So that's why you're seeing the huge move yesterday in the afternoon. Now we're backing off those highs here a little bit. But Mike, I'd like to know, is this something that you're playing? Are you following along with this? Are you adding this at a particular level or on a dip? Let me know.
Yeah, VRME is still creeping higher. So it might be good.
Chris, fly safe. Safe travels, my man. Safe travels.
Take care, Chris. That's all right. So how's your Tesla trade going?
I went green temporarily there. Now I'm red fractionally. But again, what really saved me here on Tesla, just an absolute piss poor first entry. What saved me here is that we actually didn't go in with too much size, right? We did a starter position. This is exactly why we did a starter position. My ad here wasn't at the dead bottom, but it was at 416-ish. So we were able to go green here. Now I want to see this recross through the VWAP and then maybe test that 424. We'll look to maybe book those gains.
Hollow's still having a pretty good morning. Hopefully when I say that and it doesn't start pulling, but it's still pushing up.
Sometimes all we have to do is talk about these stocks.
Yeah, it's actually getting to a really big breakout spot. So we can get over 775. That could help lift us up a little bit more quickly towards 580. But it's getting a little bit of selling pressure right at that level. So we need to see the buyers step in and take this out.
Hollow is trying to trade up towards that 8 spot. That was pretty much the pre-market high.
Yeah, that's the one I was. Yeah, this is 850 is what I'm looking for in this one.
Okay, I want to see. Is that what? Okay, so that's not quite. I do want to see this break 8 to the upside. Happy New Year, Crow. Yeah, we are going to crush it this year. We are going to crush it this year. You're right about that. Or next year coming up. You're right about that, Crow. Tesla starting to ramp now back through that VWAP. This is exactly what we were waiting for.
Palantir starting to put in a red candle. I have to think at some point, maybe not this candle, but the next one could see some more selling. So with Palantir, so be careful with that one. Just don't like the way this flag looks.
Here we go on Tesla. This is exactly what we were hoping for. Give us 424. We'll be in good shape there. Good stuff. Good stuff there, Lion. Way nice job having conviction there too. That was sweet. Long UMAC. Look at that. Judge, great to see you this morning. Thanks for all your support here at Benzinga. Really good stuff.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Happy New Year to you.
ITP's slightly over VWAP, but some of these just, the volume just goes away and it really gets my conviction down.
It's all about the volume, dude.
Mm-hmm.
This is ITP, I think is the ticker that you're.
Yeah. It's just having a hard time getting back above $1. And the volume is just, kind of evaporating. So start to question if it's even going to be able to do that. FLYE, this is coming up to its VWAP and trying to recapture it right now. So there's another one that might get going here. MACD is curling to the upside. This actually might not be a bad one here. Let's see what we get. Let's see what we get with this move through VWAP.
I'm going to watch FLIE.
MLGO still not able to recapture VWAP. Hollow still looking like that's going to have a nice move. It's almost at 8. Now it's through 8, approaching pre-market highs. Hollow.
Sorry, struggling here with my broker. There's that 8 spot we talked about.
Hollow and FLYE are looking pretty good right now. Let's see if they continue with that.
Gonna watch Hollow here. You think we can scalp this through $8? 808's your high.
At the very least, I would think that it gets to the 838 pre-market high. But I'm looking for 850.
Yep, there you go through that 808 high there. 820 has a little bit of size there. We'll see if that gets challenged. There it goes, deleted. All right, there's your scalp through. There's a really quick scalp there on Hollow, right up to that pre-market high. Sell point
Almost
should
there.
be right in here. Yeah, I peeled some of that off there, booked some gains on that.
Yeah, and then it looks like
give me a little.
Yeah,
sorry, it'll give me a little bit more leg room there on Tesla to go to 424. Stop set here at 420 on Tesla.
Getting a little pull in Hollow. Make sure you have your stop set.
Dude, that went right to, it didn't quite print the exact spot, but that did exactly what you talked about, bro.
It's crazy how it does these things.
It is. And I'll tell you something else. When we find ourselves in these low volume environments like that, the technicals really seem to bear fruit. And I think that was really good stuff there. Really good stuff there.
Yeah, just make sure you have your stops appropriately set. Remember, you just literally said about their float, and they have 20 million and a half of share float. So that's a little bit bigger than we'd like, but it's still small enough to where it's easy to move, and it could sell up pretty quick with that size of float. So make sure you have your stops with some of these set up already, and raise them as they go higher.
Ramon saying nobody looking into ONCO. Ramon, tell us that you just joined the stream without telling us that you just joined the stream. Not only are we looking at this, we actually covered this early, and this was one of the stocks that we were looking at going into the open here. 13, not what, 10 minutes ago? Weren't you giving us play-by-play on this move higher?
Yeah, that was getting halted.
Absolutely. So, absolutely, we're looking at this, my man.
And we talk about these, before they move in the pre-market. So, encourage you to join us when we're, back after the new year, and hang out with us. And, we'll give you all this information so that you can be prepared before the market opens.
ONCO halted to the downside here at 146. By the way, that FLYE, that is also looking pretty good here. Really need this to kind of take off. As long as it back tests and holds this VWAP here, I think you might see something similar here. I've got that pre-market high at 165. This could do a 40-cent move, no question.
VMRE is doing pretty well as well. Now looking at its potentially third close above the VWAP, but we are getting a little bit of a pull here. So hopefully we don't start creating a series of wicks.
You know what I like the most about this VRME? Thank you for mentioning this. I've been flipping around to too many other stocks. I love what the volume looks like here.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Like this could be very much another one that goes to its pre-market high of 2076. So there's some more there. Hollow still not finished. What else? It's right now. It looks like it's mostly just those two that are interesting. I mean, MLGO just could not get above VWAP, so that's rejected and halted to the downside now.
Yep.
Hollow still wants that 850. At the very least, it could. It just got the pre-market high, so still think it's going to hit 850. We're not too far away. We're just 8 cents. Come on, just a little bit of a lift. And if it goes through 850, then the next target I have is going to be 1015.
X Sniper is trying to put the hex on me here. X Sniper, I will have none of it. By the way, Ryan mentions FLYE and it dumps it. Here we go. This actually pulled to the VWAP and regained the VWAP. Look for this to snap 130 to the upside on FLYE. I'm still in it. Oh, you were saying FLYE dumped me. I see. You weren't saying that I dumped it. I thought you were trying to accuse me of dumping this stock as it traded up, and I was about to be like, bro, I'm still holding it.
VMRE not having the follow through this, so it's coming back down to VWAP. Let's see if we hold that or not. If we lose VWAP, then this is probably going to end up going back to the 65 EMA.
Average options. Asking any takes on Cava. I've got one that I'll show to you right now. Just give me a sec. Here is going to be your Cava chart. And 13, I'd love to get your opinion here. You actually traded this one earlier. We talked about Cava being incredibly overvalued. We talked about a number of things regarding Cava here. The stock being totally overvalued. We talked about this getting way ahead of itself. The restaurants would have to do like 6 million per quarter in order for this thing to break even. I can't remember what the exact number is. Cava, definitely too much air in it. Now, this move has really kind of come in here. I want to see what happens here at the two. I would say this: if this bounced at the 200 day, I would short it. I would short that pop that it gave at the 200 day. 13, I know you actually traded this one. What do you have here on Cava?
Let me pull up a Cava chart for me. I think, because I agree, this thing is just so overvalued. I don't even think the correct valuation is even in yet. I think we should be under 100 in this one. I don't know how soon it's going to take to get there because the RSI is pretty low. So there should be a short-term bounce coming. Maybe upon the gap fill that we created back in August, we could see a rebound, and maybe even the 200 SMA comes up at that point and also helps provide support. So I kind of agree with that assessment of a 200 SMA bounce, but I don't know how long it's going to take.
Okay,
but I do think it's way overpriced still, and I think it needs to go under 100.
Okay. And then here, just to kind of cover, just to kind of finish the discussion here on Cava, to show you a little interaction. The brain is always working. The brain is always working here. I'm going to show you a little interaction I had on X. Here we go. Some of you might be familiar with Taylor Mathis, the Walking Bets person. I love Cava more than any other food to get. I could literally eat it every day. And this is actually something that we had a discussion about in Happy Hour. Can people eat this type of food every day? Well, you're getting someone here that's saying, yes, I absolutely can. So I asked her, how busy are the restaurants when you go inside? Response is, they're kind of busy, but they're not too bad. We only have one in Scottsdale. Okay, so first things first there, if you're familiar with Scottsdale, you know that this is a place where none of the restaurants should be not really all that busy. They only have one. It's super popular. There should be a line out the door there. I absolutely viewed that as a negative. That just kind of bolstered my thesis here. I really think Cava has some more downside to go.
Wow.
I'll go back to the main work. We got moves happening.
Hollow.
Now FLYE dropped. Here is Hollow. Oh, $9. Well, I spent too much time on Cava, didn't I?
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
we already talked. I already talked about the upside targets if it broke through 850. So
I was telling you 8. You said 850. Here we are at 9. So it took both of those targets and went higher here.
Well, yeah, I said 850, and if it goes past 850, then my next upside target's 1015. We haven't gotten that yet, but we're kind of on the way. So it's got to see if this upside continues. Now there might be some pullbacks, and if we do pull back, I'd want to see 850 as support now. But yeah, I have 1015 as my next upside target.
Okay, close Tesla on that pop right there. So we at least booked some of that. That'll help with the FLYE fallout. Now, I didn't add to FLYE here. I really want to see this reclaim the VWAP. If it does that, then we'll talk about maybe adding some more there on FLYE, but in this didn't work yet. Fully agree with you, Ryan, on Cava. There we go, Mav. Now, the one thing I will say is that I remember when Beyond Meat first came out, that thing traded up to what, like 190, 200 something. I knew that thing was a short. It took a lot longer than I thought it would for that to kind of come back in to where it belongs. So it can take a long time. SPY's rejecting off those pre-market highs. Indeed, it is. That's a really good call there, Bdmd.
APM, yeah, Kale, great mention. APM volume up. It just moved through VWAP, and it's trying to go to 645. I think 645 is what it needs to take out, and then it'll obviously breach the pre-market highs of 672. Now it's starting to pull. Oh man,
I was going to say, yeah, that is awful.
Man. Well, I didn't, take any. I was just waiting for to see if it would get above 645, but dang it. That would have been a good one too if it got up there. So
what I don't like here is like this volume stick, this selling stick is pretty much eclipsing that entire buy stick that we just saw here. This is holding so far at VWAP. I don't like that action though. That action's nasty. Ryan, Tesla's coming back. Tesla did actually. Thankfully, I was able to book gains on Tesla. Again, really piss poor entry on my part right out of the open here. Thankfully, was able to add at 416, sell above 422 there. So we're in good shape. This was a small trade, and it immediately went against me. So the fact that I was able to scrape green, I just consider that a win. There might be more in this. And in fact, as we speak right here, Tesla holding that VWAP. Watch for that to take out these highs that we just put in there about 423. I almost went to Cava, but In-N-Out Burger won in a family landslide. I'm not surprised. In-N-Out Burger tends to do that.
I'll have to start doing that, Jay. Because that's not every time. That was like the first time in a while. Usually it's this other guy down here. When he starts talking, they start pulling.
Look, what can I say? Sometimes I make things happen. All right, FLYE. Finally, this is working. Maybe I should have added. Here we go. So there's a little early to that, but we stayed in here. Let's see. 140 looks to be the spot. We'll watch to level 2. There's a little size here at 135. I don't see much at 140. Do you see anything on your broker there at 140?
Just it's a little bit under 2,000, but not like the wall that they were trying to chew through right here at 135.
Nope. And there it goes. Release the hounds.
I think I can do a better Smithers than a Burns.
Yeah, I can't really do any of that. I just like saying release the hounds. I'll be quite honest with you.
Oh, they just brought a huge size in at 137.
Yep.
FLYE. They might.
And you know what that means? You know what that means strategy wise?
It's a halt. That's what it means.
Oh, it is a halt. Okay. Well, what I was going to say is strategy wise, I'm going to move my stop up to right under that level in case they break it. I at least stop out of this trade with a gain, considering the two trades that I've taken. Well, actually, I've taken 3 trades. I beg your pardon. Hollow worked right out of the gate there. APM worked right. That was the one right out of the gate. The Tesla trade and the FLYE trade immediately went against me after taking them. So we had to actually work those back here. We'll see what happens here. FLYE. I'd love this to pop out of the halt. I'd probably sell it into that pop. Release the sound hound.
The sound hound. There you go.
Bdmd, by the way, you had just called that the SPY had rejected near those pre-market highs. Sure looks like that was a good call. This is actually kind of turned over here. So a little bit of chop early on this upside level here. I'm going to call this 591 Bdmd. I know we got to 590.65. Let's just call it 591. That seems to be your upside. SPY dropping here, actually. Not on huge volume. NASDAQ dropping. The whole market dropping here.
I have no positions right now. I mean, I do have some longer term ones, but nothing that that we're trading today I picked up. I don't have anything like that.
The only position that I currently have from the active session, FLYE, which is currently halted. ONCO halted up.
Yep.
See if we can take out that high there. 175, your intraday high.
Looks like ITP still trying to get above VWAP and recapture a dollar. You notice that some of the Andy specials are moving?
Which WETH?
And GMM.
Ah, here's WETH. This is WeTouch. This actually has a lot of cash on the balance sheet. We're actually hoping for a bigger long-term move here. And actually, the daily chart looks pretty good, considering. Really kind of looks like we're at a support level here. I'd love to see this 3-bit at some point. GMM was the other one that you're saying is moving? Oh, indeed it is. 440 on GMM. Now, this is an AI play, but this is kind of a crummy one, right? This is a kind of a scammy global, right?
I don't remember if he said that was a scammy one or not. I think that was more VSIG.
Okay.
I don't know about GMM though.
Yeah, I took a very small starter on this one just for shits and giggles, frankly.
You see that we were getting a mention about Core, Kore, this morning, and
that was one that ran yesterday, wasn't it?
Right. It's got a pretty interesting setup right now, but the volume isn't where it needs to be. So I'm wondering after this candle we start seeing some volume pickup, because it's got a halfway decent bear flag forming here. I'm sorry, bull flag forming. So we'll see if that ends up materializing. Getting some support from the 325 area. So that's pretty good. All right. Support level for Cooler. And is there any entry here on Hollow? Let me take a look at Hollow, and then I'll look at Cooler. Hollow, I mean, it's like already at 850, and it's trying to push back up. So I think your entry would have been better the last candle. You might be able to scalp it, but understand that there's much more significant risk if you're trying to take it here. I'd be careful with it with entry at this point. It could run right here, but it could also pull pretty quickly. So I'd say if we continue to get support, or if it comes in back tests 850, to see how it's trading, and maybe 850 might be a better entry spot for you, because now it's starting to run. And I wouldn't want to, chase this and be the one that buys the high, So I think your entry, it might have been missed, but let's see if it can get support at 850 and see what happens.
Yeah, producer, are you ready for the new sound effect? I mean, I guess I'm as ready as I'll ever be. I don't know if that's the answer. Was that it? Did it just play? Or was that your keyboard? Let me know if there was a sound effect that played. I didn't hear anything. I heard something.
Yes, I heard that one.
Release the hounds sound effect. Let's go, producer.
Now, as far as Cooler goes, this thing might be a little overvalued up here, so I don't know if this is going to still continue to come in or not.
FLYE is open and trying to push higher here. FLYE. I would personally want to wait and see what happens at $3, because that seems to be a support level. Not that 350 isn't, but $3 looks to be a better support level, because it was a pretty robust resistance level on this price action that took us up here to 549. So I would feel more comfortable about waiting for some support at 3 for Cooler. I just don't know if it's going to bounce at 350 or 3, to be honest. Stopped out of FLYE right beneath that big bid, and thank God I did, because look at the pull that we're getting. So that bid that you called out there, 13, that I said I'm going to raise my stop in case this gets taken out, that was the best decision I made with this trade here, FLYE. Now, this might go here. It's still holding VWAP. The buy the dippers are stepping in. But this one, big pull there. Big pull. Can't believe I got out of that. That was not a whole lot of green, but I got out of that with green. Let's go. Let's go. Bring on the New Year's Eve party.
Yeah, Buzz Lightyear, it did sound a little faint, but I was able to hear it. So I don't know if there's a way we could maybe slightly increase the soundboard, but it sounded a little bit of a little faint, but I could still hear it.
Yeah, me too. Release the hounds. I like it. What can I say? ONCO is open. Going higher.
push
So
higher.
that 175, 174, 175 spot looks to be in play here if we can get there. Oh, look at Tesla. I'm so glad I took that. So glad I added. So glad I took that. A lesson in triage, as they say. A lesson in triage here. Horrible entry. Able to kind of lower the cost basis and then sell into pops. I was looking for 424. I didn't get it. I took a little bit lower. Still got out of that green. Oh, man. Tesla actually now a higher low being made here on the 1 minute. Maybe we do set up to go higher.
Well, that 417 is still a big support level for me. I mean, once we broke through that level on the 11th, it back tested it the following 2 days as support. So, and we also got another test of it as support on the 23rd, just a couple days before Christmas. So, 417. That's the level it needs to close above today. Otherwise, we're likely going lower. All right, looking around.
Oh my God, HKD is appearing on my scanner.
Stop it.
I'm serious. It's got 54% of its average volume here. We're seeing a volume pop. This came back into its VWAP. It might be trying to test higher here on HKD. Let me see what the chain looks like here.
I'll see you at 10,000.
I mean, that would be something. Low volume, at least right now. And 12 cent spread here? Oh, man, HKD. If this gets wild here today on New Year's Eve, whatever are we going to do?
Celebrate?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're going to do that regardless, 13. We're going to celebrate regardless. Tell you that much right now. MLGO?
Yeah, that's, I mean,
trying to turn around.
Mm-hmm. And sideways action for Hollow.
I'm trying to see if there's anything new on here.
ITP halted to the downside.
DraftKings $40 calls that expire in February. Those being swept up in some big size there. That's interesting. TSM calls. TSM 210 calls expire January 3rd. That's this week.
What is the actual date of those calls in February?
The DraftKings one, the expiration date. Expiration date is February 7th, 2025. 2/7.
So 2 days before the Super Bowl. And I think,
yep. I think you're right. I think that's a play on a run into the Super Bowl, which we've seen before.
And earnings, because I believe they have earnings just after the Super Bowl. Let me double check.
I'll get it for you.
Okay.
They unconfirmed for February 13th. And if I recall back to last year, they were February 15th last year. They were in that exact same area right after the Super Bowl. Looks like that's the anatomy of a trade right there, 13. Yep. I think that people are adding DraftKings on weakness here today. Maybe take advantage of tax loss selling. Did DraftKings have how did this year go? This is up. So maybe maybe the tax loss selling, not part of it, but really good stuff there. Really good detective work there on those calls, 13.
Oh, thank you. But that was just because it had all the same things from last year. Every year, it's going to do this. Yeah. I anticipate until the stock goes under or until the end of time. It's just going to be another run into the.
Wow! Repeat buy 7,000 contracts. The same strike, the 40 February 7th strike there.
All right, folks.
There you go. To look at this now.
There you go. Sounds like DraftKings is going to have a pretty good January.
Oh my! Going into today, there were 6 contracts held open. Today, 8,285 contracts traded at that strike. Oh my!
Follow the money. ONCO new highs.
They paid 87. The bid is 89 on those. Chasing that is good. This is causing DraftKings to pop now. I wonder if my other traders that trade option sweeps are on this. Give me one sec.
That's a nice.
Yep, they're mentioning. Yep, they sure are. Interesting. Oh, I'm glad we caught that there. Thank you, Benzinga Pro, and your unusual option activity scanner. Look at that pop here on DraftKings. Multiple repeat sweeps there. DKNG. That was the 40 call. The 40 call that expires February 7th. I'm going to watch this and see if this price comes back in towards that 89 spot, 87 spot. Currently at $1. Last traded contract at $1.01. Looks like there are people chasing this move into that contract.
Okay, so what else is going on here? Folks mentioning FLYE is halted. What's that? Or it was halted.
And I'm sorry for having this thought a little bit late. We are going to have Anne-Marie today. I have Anne-Marie confirmed for 11. We ought to ask about option trades. She had asked me earlier if anyone has any options trades that they're looking at here today. So let me know, folks. Let me know on your tickers. Maybe I'll throw DKNG in there.
I would, I'm going to be sticking around to listen to what she's got. I won't, be on here, but I'll be in the chat.
You can if you want. I mean,
no. You guys do your thing. I'm going to listen to what she's got to say with the tanker plays, because I think she was interested in natural gas. So really curious to hear what she's looking at. Hollow might start to move up again. Let's see what we get with Hollow.
Okay, I'm taking some notes here. This is good stuff. We're going to come up with a trade for this.
I don't have a 1 minute chart, but wow, that price action, dude.
You like that sawtooth there?
That's a trader's dream right there. Just you can see where you buy and where you sell.
This is a good one. Thinking about it here, mentioning the story trading guys liking AEHR. Those are a good group of guys there. Those story trading guys, those are a good group of guys. I'll say this. I traded AEHR, not this last earnings print, but the one prior to that. I had really good luck with this one. Earnings coming up here, Jan 9. Here's what your daily chart looks like. We did just break this trend, this recent trend here. We do look like we're at a breakout spot right here. I think if we go higher, I think we'll probably not only cross 20, but maybe even try for this 21 and change. Thinking about it, this is a good one. I like this.
Oh, yeah. Sidu's been getting halt downs this morning. That's fine.
Sidu's halted? Wait, what?
It was getting halt downs. It's open right now, but it was halted, I think. Oh, maybe I misread that. I'm sorry. No, I don't think it did. It was halted up. I'm sorry. I misread that.
It's okay. It's totally fine. I don't see any halts for Sidu. Oh yeah, excuse me. I do. I see one halt to the upside. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's fine. Let these space stocks come in. We talked about how all these are all these speculative names, quantum, drones, everything. They're going to find some weakness, and then in 2025 they'll have a much better time after we get that shakeout. Especially space. I can't pound the table enough about that. About how much competition, both from country and company alike, is going to be entering the race there. It's going to be a good one.
Interesting. WETH appearing on my scanner now. This is that. Full disclosure, I am holding some of this here. We're looking for a move to $3-4. This company's got a ton of cash on the balance sheet here, but this now appearing on the scanner, which it normally doesn't. Maybe this gets some action.
On a volume scanner?
My relative volume scanner, correct. And it's because today there was a huge buy here earlier, and this really set. Look at this. It sure looks like this 155 was your bottom too on WETH. And now we're starting to get some volume come in here. We're talking about a potential IR campaign starting early next year. Let's see this volume continue to ramp. I'd love for this to get above 175, close there, and have some continuous expanding volume. I think we'll probably see a 2+, maybe even a 3 print on that if that continues. So you're all Jay here mentioning NBIS. So here, I'm going to give them some grace on this one. Jay Rice here mentioning NBIS. Story Trading likes this one too. It's been a bit disappointing, but it's having a good day today. Okay, a couple of things. First of all, the previous price history here, I believe, was from that Yandex stock. So if I do this, let me make this a little bit more clear for us. There we go. If I do this, this is going to be your price action for NBIS. You can see that when this thing went up to these recent highs here, yes, it has been disappointing from that. But all honesty, when we first traded this, my first buy on NBIS was 17.5 bucks. And I was out at like 24. This thing actually went to near 38. So I didn't do a great job here, but there was a decent trade in this. And now look at this. Look at this area right in here. This 20, let's call it 26, maybe 25 and 3/4. This area definitely looks like some support here. And so if I'm looking for a trade here in NBIS, this might be one of the levels that I'm looking at it against. Just something to consider here. I don't think the story is over in NBIS yet.
Diamond Hotline asking if Hollow is short below 8. Honestly, I think they've got some pretty good support levels on the way down. I would think that maybe 780 might be a better level to watch for if we lose that. We just have a lot of consolidation beneath that, and that creates a demand zone. So I'd be, if I was going to go short this, I'd want to see, some of those demand zones, get lost, and that means, like 675 would be where we fall out of those. I don't know that, what the best level for shorting Hollow is. This is a very volatile stock, and I don't want anybody getting hurt, especially if they're going to squeeze shorts like they have been. Be careful with Hollow is all I would say. I just don't have a great level for anybody to short this. I
think you probably have better short setups elsewhere that don't have the type of potential upside volatility that Hollow does. I think that's a smart thing. OCN or ONCO, excuse me. This has resumed now. This holding here about 160.
Oh, looks like MLGO is trying to push back up towards its VWAP. It's kind of curling, so might be something there. Needs better volume though. APM also trying to push through its VWAP. Now the thing about APM is that it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of strength once it pushes through VWAP. It kind of runs up close to 640, 650, and then it comes right back in. So actually more like 625. So if this does end up breaking through VWAP, I think you are pretty safe at starting to take profits between 6 and 625, because that seems to be where the sellers start stepping in anyway.
RIVN popping. Rivian is popping. Let's see. I don't see it on the scanner. I see Lucid popping. That's up 7%. That's rare. Let's see what Rivian's doing here. Rivian up 5.5%. Actually on some pretty good volume. This is a nice call there. Telefunk Enk.
Does it move up whenever Tesla moves up? Because it just started moving up again off of the 417 level. Just wondering. Looks like Hollow is
Tesla here back to 423. That thing's been all over the place. By the way, that 417.50 area held Tesla. Mm-hmm. So here you go. By the way, WETH, which we just talked about, this is at a spot right now. It's at that 173 spot, or excuse me, 172 spot. This has been a spot previous days. I've just been kind of watching this, but I also see that there's huge size here at 172. Now, we saw a move higher here on volume early today. So if the huge size gets taken out here, I'm just going to say this now. I think if we pop through this 172 with buying volume, I think we probably go higher here. Intraday high 176 so far on WETH.
Well, I have some orders out to take a little bit of profit off of my holdings at $2. So we'll see what happens with that. That'd be nice if we get up there. Hollow also still trying to push here, looking to take 9. If it does, then we can, can try and take out the intraday high of 922 and go on to the 1015 level I've been keeping an eye on. MLGO still trying to curl, still low volume. ONCO, new intraday highs just now. This thing is in a pretty steady uptrend. Let me see if, let me see here. Draw a trend line.
Called.
What's that?
Sorry, was just yelling something here.
Okay, no problem. So ONCO, yeah, this you can draw a trend line from the low out of the open through the low at 1005 and keep drawing. It seems like that trend line is is what ONCO is riding. So I would say as soon as we get a breakdown from there, we might want to take our profits and look somewhere else.
And sorry, 13, I was taking care of something on the side there. So
no worries, no worries. I thought you were yelling at me, and then your mic cut out or something.
Nope, definitely not yelling at you guys. If I were yelling at you guys, I'd be yelling at you guys to keep doing a great job, because ONCO here halted to the upside. Still good volume too. What was your initial target on this one? Once
ONCO? Oh gosh, I don't even remember.
I thought it was like 180 something. That's where we are. Went there again.
Oh, you're right. I had 205.
Okay, so we're almost at that 205 target. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the 65 EMA on the daily. Because I didn't really have any levels drawn for that, so I just went to the EMAs.
DraftKings continuing to try to trade up here. Those contracts aren't moving, so it looks like that huge sweep kind of drew people in, and it's not appreciating yet. I'm going to keep waiting that out. I will keep an eye on that today. If those contracts come back into that 90-cent level, I'll probably take a few.
Just waiting to see if Hollow's going to make a breakout move above 9. I'm trying to. Looks like Cooler still haven't. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say HKD traded up towards its initial high and then pulled off of that. Doesn't look like that's ready to go crazy yet. Here is your HKD. Maybe though. Oh, God.
Yes, MicroStrategy. Yeah, it was 205. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, what looks good? I mean, I thought I saw MLGO. Yeah, that's still making its way to VWAP. This one, it's low volume, but it's still trying to make something happen here. I bet if the volume stays the way it is, it'll probably trade up to VWAP, and it just won't get over it. It'll come back in. But if we get volume expansion as we approach VWAP, we could see a breakout over it.
Good question here. 78 Baby Boo 86. Ryan, what parameters do you use for your volume scan? Really good question. The scanner that you see here every day is this one. Let me make it so it's easier for you folks to see. The crux of this scan is an intraday relative volume parameter. So it's not a daily RVol. This is looking at a 5-minute window and comparing it to the same 5-minute window across a 30-day average. And I'm looking for 300%. That. So volume minimum 600K. That's liquidity. Make sure I can get in and out. Change percent 1M. This is, I'm looking for the stock to move up. So I'm looking over the past 1 minute. Is the stock trading up or down? I'm filtering to only show me stocks that are trading up. Doesn't matter if a stock is down on the day. If that stock starts to curl intraday and go back up, I want to know. And then the last one here is going to be RVol 5M30D. This is the crux of the entire scan. I have a minimum value of 3 in there. Go ahead and screenshot this.
Sorry.
All good. Go ahead. I'll put Hollow up.
Yeah, Hollow made a new intraday high, 925 now, but seller stepped right in as soon as it hit that intraday high from before. Still hasn't sold off yet, but still need to see volume continue to expand if we're going to get to 1015.
Okay, looking pretty good here on Hollow.
Yeah, APM trying to recapture VWAP, and I think we also had MLGO. Yeah, it's almost there. MLGO is almost to its VWAP. Now, if we don't get the volume expansion, I mentioned this earlier, if we don't get volume expansion to take us through VWAP, it's probably going to get rejected. Sorry, go ahead.
No, all good. I was just going to say, Baby Boo, if you need me to expand this again, let me know, but I'm going to collapse it now just so I can see more targets here, like the MLGO that 13 was just talking about.
All right, I'm not seeing anything that's looking great. I think we just are kind of waiting for ONCO to open. I don't know how much time we have left on that, but that's one thing I'm sure we're keeping an eye on.
5 minutes is elapsed pretty much right now. This halted at the last at 56 seconds at 10:27. It's 10:32, so the 5-minute halt expires here in a sec.
Hollow getting pushed.
There it is. On ONCO
perfect.
open. Here we go.
Perfect.
Looking for a 2 push here. Boy, that was good timing, 13.
All right, so 194. You have your almost there soundboard button ready?
No, I do that one manually.
Oh, okay.
This is the one I have is this. Got good old Philip Seymour Hoffman in there, man. That's what we do. I love that. I'm so glad you suggested that as a sound drop, 13. Honestly, that's one of my favorites.
That's such a good movie too.
That's probably my favorite.
And, sorry, ONCO,
$2.
Yeah, 2 cents away from that target.
$2 holla right here.
So that was a good one. I mean, with this might push over 205, but there's a big wall at 213. Might not go any further than that, but hey, 203, I'll take it. That was a nice move up to that EMA.
Market Sniper saying 220. There you go. ONCO, this is well done. 13, I'm gonna step away again for 1 sec. BRB.
Sounds good. In the meantime, I'm going to take a look at some of these other names, see what they're up to. ITP below VWAP, VMRE the same. FLYE trying to negotiate whether or not it's going to stay above or below VWAP, currently falling beneath it. MLGO, it's almost a VWAP, hasn't quite touched it yet, but again, we still need to see better volume than this. APM, that popped above VWAP, came back in. NXU, this looks like it's going lower. Current intraday low is 152. If we don't get support here at 160, it's likely going beneath that. Hollow still messing around with the $9 handle. Back above it now. It's been going back above and below $9. Not sure if we're going to reach our 10-15, but there's still a whole lot of day left. Could still do that later on, like it did later on yesterday, making bigger moves in the afternoon. And what are we looking at here, folks? Let's see, Webcoin mentioning HNST. Let's see what that looks like. The Honest Company. We'll see about that. 713 is the high it just made recently, but man, not on much volume. That was about a little less than 230,000 shares on that pop there. And currently we are trading around almost 2,500 right now in this current 5-minute candle. So volume needs to be a lot better for some more upside in this, but it is a thin name, I believe. No, it's not actually.
Which name?
This is HNST, Honest Company. Almost 75 million shares in the float. That might be why it's having such a hard time trying to push up. Big float. Okay, Hollow. Still holding above 9. 10-15 is going to be the target until it either hits it or starts breaking down. ONCO at a high of 211. I think Market Sniper, you might be correct there with that 220 level. Let's see what we got here, because they're still looking like it's pushing up. Yeah, other than what we just mentioned, I don't really see anything that's interesting to me. Folks, see anything that looks good? Anything that is catching your eye? Finally getting a little bit of pull here from ONCO. Now remember, if we lose this trend, I think I'd want to be out of this. Big wall that sellers just brought in at $2 for ONCO. 200,000 shares just got deleted.
All right, sorry about that.
No worries.
Sorry about that.
I'm just trying to find something that looks interesting, but there's a lot of sideways action right now.
I was going to say, so am I. HKD was the one thing that I saw there, but that ended up not going. I guess maybe it still can, but doesn't look great. Bdmd, Baird Medical. This actually recently went right through its VWAP here. This is up 200%. What happened on this one?
It's currently trying to get above its VWAP. It's actually currently above it and trying to hold. 392 is the intraday high. It looks like it's got a decent enough setup where it could just take out that intraday high and go higher. Let me see how high this could end up going if it does that. Oh, that's interesting. Already hit the 65 EMA on the daily. Gosh. I really don't have a whole lot of good levels for this. Maybe 5.
This BDMD, sorry, I just went to this. I think this is going to halt here. Yeah, it is. This is the fourth halt of the day, BDMD.
Well, I'll just kind of throw out a half guess here and say that if BDMD breaks through that 392 intraday high, might see 5.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good call.
Now we got a little weakness on hollow. It took it. The price got taken down to 850 and it bounced. So that's what we wanted to see earlier as support. So that's exactly what we wanted to see. Now, seeing that we got that support, that'd be a really good point of entry because it already has turned around and provided 40 cents of profit. We need to see this take out that 925 now, but I'd be raising my stop after that 850 entry.
Okay.
I don't want this to go south on me, and the volume isn't as good as it was earlier in the morning, so that's why I would put on that little that cautionary stop.
So what happened there? Laser getting mentioned here by a chatter. Oh my God, Mark, great! This is a huge move here from 540. Did we have news on this? Up 16% right now. Looks like this is just anticipate. Yeah, maybe just anticipation of 2025.
Short squeeze, big time. That's there's no news, and there's other things in the space that are moving, and this gets attention. This is going to move. The float's 25, almost 26 million shares. Almost 30% of it's shorted.
3.3 days to cover.
Yeah, not quite the days to cover we want, but still, I mean, that's a lot of short interest.
Rivian continuing to move higher. Someone mentioned that this was moving higher earlier. It has not stopped.
Great mention.
It's kept going.
Yeah, so I guess one thing to watch for is that BDMD to unhalt, but we still have a little bit of time with that. ONCO might still try to push up to 220. Hasn't quite broken down yet. Just need to continue with that trend and it should be fine. NXU looks like it's trying to recover. And even if it does, it's got a number of levels to get through. The first one being 170. That seems to be the next big resistance level for NXU to get through.
HKD still holding higher here.
Captain Cloudy asking, what do you think about KSS?
Is that Coles?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it is.
Well, let's see here.
NBIS calls hitting the wire. I know we just talked about it. January 17, 27 strike.
Well, the
Coles chart, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. This Coles chart looks like death. It is at a support level from COVID, but I mean, my goodness.
I'd like it better at 11. That would give us a nice double bottom. So for me, yeah, I would wait to see some actual bottoming in Coles before I decided to take. I don't even know how this company's faring these days. It's 22 million. Well, it made 22 million last quarter. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think, wow, that's a huge amount of short interest. Huge. This might actually be
especially
big
for
short squeeze play.
This.
I'm sorry?
Especially for a name like this. I mean, you normally see short interest and stuff like this on pre-revenue biotechs that are tiny, not Coles.
This is, thank you for putting this on my radar because I know of Coles. We've shopped there many times before, but man, I did not know that they had such high short interest. This could potentially be a good short squeeze play, next month.
Jay saying he thinks that the dividend is gone. Looks like they're paying a 10% here, ex-dividend 12/11 of this year, so December 11th. That was payable on Christmas Eve.
That cost
was that the last one?
It cost them about $55 million every quarter to pay out those dividends. Did they say that they're suspending it?
Well, that's what I'm asking Jay.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. When's their last earnings? If they're going to announce that dividend cut, I'd imagine they'd do it then. Whoa. It was a bad late May report. 700% EPS loss over expectations.
I hear from Guggenheim on December 2nd. Guggenheim downgraded Kohl's to neutral after a guidance cut and a CEO exit.
Oh, they haven't replaced him?
They don't know.
Let's see here.
I don't see anything here about, but here, it's going to be this last earnings, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little surprised that with all the big, spending and sales.
Sorry, real quick. Bdmd is open here and trying to go higher on Bdmd.
Oh yeah, it just took out the the intraday high. Gosh, what was the level that I had? I think I had 5. So it's gonna. Oh, it looked like it was about to halt again.
I was gonna say I see size there at 427, but nothing that it can't take care of.
So 5 would be my next upside level, and if it takes that out, then the 200 EMA on the daily would be the next level, which is at 698. We'll call it 695 to 7.
430 now. Bdmd. Hello, Kitty. What are you doing?
Yeah,
you can't wait till later.
Hollow, still getting a little weak here. This is why I was, saying if I had this at 850, I'd be putting a stop on it.
Jay,
in case. What? Go ahead.
Jay, regarding that Kohl's dividend here, Jay saying, no, the dividend hasn't been cut yet, but I've been around long enough to know that above normal yields aren't always great. And I think what Jay's talking about there is as some of those dividends creep up there, it's actually a sign that the company isn't doing all that great. You can expect a cut. Jay, you're trying to get in front of that because the stock's going to get pounded if they announce that dividend gets cut. So good stuff there, Jay. Bdmd looks like this is consolidating here right at 4. APM getting a mention here that this is running. This actually did trade up off that VWAP. Still haven't broken out from the $6 area yet.
So with Kohl's, you know that they had a 67-cent dividend prior to COVID. COVID happened. Well, they brought it up to 70 cents. But the following year, on their I think it was their Q4 earnings, they cut the dividend to 25 cents, had it at 25 cents for a whole year, then doubled it in 2022. And that's where it's been ever since. So they have cut before, and they will cut again. What's looking good, though?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything else new that's looking good. How did this FLYE do? What a disappointment.
ONCO is now testing that trend line. So if we lose it here, then it's probably going to be done. But if it bounces, then likely higher we go.
Okay. Jay, so Jay's saying actually if they cut the Kohl's dividend, you could see a rally on that. Interesting. So
you're retaining cash.
Yeah. So I guess, okay. I would think that, okay.
Well, but here's the thing. With the short interest on that, it could absolutely squeeze.
That's actually interesting. Okay. Appreciate both of you straightening me out there.
Oh, well, Jay Rice straightened me out a little bit too with the dividend cut and run. But I understand the reason why that would rally, because they're not going to be throwing out as much cash to shareholders. I mean, they cut that in half. They're saving, $27.5 million a quarter. That's more than their net they made last quarter. So
yeah. All
right. Well, it looks like ONCO is so far trying to bounce off that trend line, but we need to see that follow through here. So let's see how this current 5-minute candle ends. Got a little more than 2 minutes left on it. Hollow, the exact reason why I said I would want to put a stop on it. It would have saved me if I had traded it. It's going beneath 850, coming down towards VWAP. FD looks like it wants to roll over as well.
Bdmd getting jiggy here.
Still looking for 5, huh?
What was the unusual option date on Kohl's? Was there one on that KSS? That wasn't unusual options. That was on the DraftKings.
Yeah, you know what's Cyril? I'm sorry. Help me out here. Wasn't this one of the meme stocks, or was it? There was another retailer that was a meme stock. I thought there was. I don't think it was Big Lots, even though it could have been, or Big Five, or something like that. Maybe it was KSS. There's like a basket of them during the pandemic that
wasn't it Cost though? KOSS?
Yes, that's what it was. You're right.
Okay. And then yeah, Paul, the unusual option date wasn't on Kohl's. That date was the February 7th weekly contract on DraftKings, DKNG. Also, folks, in 2025, you guys have heard me talk a lot about, we're going to increase the value here. We're going to try to make the experience better. We're really going to put a focus on growing this in 2025. We're also going to come up with a show name. And so let me know if you folks have any suggestions. In fact, I would say if you have ideas, please email shows@benzinga.com.
You guys make this show what it is. It's only appropriate you name
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Oh,
there
look,
you go.
FLYE starting to FLY.
Bdmd trying to go higher here. This might not be done.
You see that?
Just to be clear about the show names, we have some, but the McDavid show, LOL. We do have some suggestions here, but would like to get some from the group as well. Never a bad idea.
Yeah, FLYE coming up to the intraday highs. Had some kind of volume pop here through VWAP. So if this holds up, it might get going. Intraday, I'm sorry, the pre-market high on this one is 164.
Baby, she's flying, man.
It's literally called Fly.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, here we go with ITP as well. So some of these laggards this morning are now starting to get some new life. This one back above $1 now. That's something we needed to see all morning with this. Intraday, I'm sorry, pre-market high on this one is 120. And there's a lot of sell orders between 116 and 121. So we'll see if it can get through that.
Sergeant Sexy suggests that we make the name of the show 13 and Me.
Oh, man. That's funny. It's like a play off the 23 and Me.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Funny.
David, I can't control that, man. I can't control Zunaid and AB.
But
I will submit your feedback.
ONCO losing that trend line. So this might be it for ONCO. Next area of support, if it's going to get it, would be VWAP. I have about at 152. Loses that, probably going back to the open.
Show me the money. I wonder if we'd get hit with the
I hear
tag there.
I hear Cuba Gooding does need money, so just kind of looking around and seeing if there's anything that's providing a decent trade. Lots of volume is kind of leaving the market right now. FLYE might be the one to keep an eye on at the moment, even though that one doesn't have great volume either.
SPY actually in a really tight range here too. It's kind of been back and forth, but really hasn't done much.
Here's a headline. Elon Musk predicts SpaceX will handle 99% of Earth's orbital payload by 2026.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Nope. And it's very good for my space theme for next year.
Bulls, bears, and beers.
Am I a Dan Marino fan? Well, I'm not really a Dolphins fan. So, I mean, he's a great commentator, but that's about it. Because I never really watched him play. Not really, I would say.
There you go. No. Straight up. No, not a fan.
I say not really. He's all, no, you're not a fan.
Bdmd continuing to go higher here. Grats on anyone that took this one. Bdmd.
Yep, there's 5. Now for the dumb levels. Yeah, 695 to 7. That's the dumb level. I say it endearingly too, because I wouldn't mind being in these and have it go to dumb levels, but just have no fundamental reason for being at those levels sometimes. ONCO is halted to the downside.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know we're going to Anne Marie in 7 minutes, but I have to handle this here real quick. BRB, 1 sec. 13.
Okay, no problem.
I know we're going to Anne Marie shortly. I'll be right back.
13 shades of Ryan. Oh, you guys are going to make the ending this year great. You just keep them coming. I love it. Oh, gosh. We are getting some really stupid movement with Bdmd now. It's going to halt. 586 now. Seen BDM and thought going in, but then too many reds, so I stayed out. Hey, you know what? Super, it's kind of like this. If you're not certain and you don't think it's worth the risk, you're probably doing the best thing you could for yourself by just sitting on your hands and watching and learning. Because it's not going to cost you anything if you're wrong. But if you're in this and you're wrong, it could get you hurt. So hey, it's good discipline, man. Don't feel bad for missing out on something you thought you would run. I've been there a lot. Ocean's 13. That's a great one. I am 13 going on 17. Oh, high school was fun, but no, I'm well past that. Keep them coming, guys. These are great. FLYE might be flagging, so has the setup, but the volume just really isn't there. So I don't know how much follow through we'll get with this one. If it gets to 164, great. If not, we understand why. The volume's just crap. Hollow coming back in. Looks like the party's starting to be over for some of these. MLGO kind of going lower in the irregular session. Might see some new lows in the regular session. ITP not able to recapture VWAP after that pop and drop. Again, rejected at the well, it was a little bit higher than $1, but rejected once it went over $1. Nothing new there. Portfolio panic live. The Trader's Dozen. That's a cool one. Brian Thomas, well done on Bdmd. Excellent job. Now, you know what? That might be a good one to put in your back pocket until 2025, Super. Bdmd crazy level, 695 to 7. That's the real stupid, crazy, dumbass. Why is it going this high level? And there could be some more, even more. Yeah, I got another level beyond that. So even if we get even dumber with this stock, Bdmd, got another level for there. So we'll see what happens. We do have not a lot of time left. So let's say it gets through $6.95, $7, 8 would be next, and then 940.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. Just needed to make sure everything was okay.
I think you're missing out on a whole bunch of really great names for the show.
What?
None we'll probably ever use, but great nonetheless.
13 shaken, not stirred. The Trader's Dozen, Portfolio Panic Live.
13 going on 17.
Levels and Levity.
Ocean's 13. That's cool.
Which one?
Ocean's, I'm sorry, Levels and Levity, but Ocean's 13 was pretty funny too.
Why are they all using your name?
Because I'm just another number.
Just trailing paw here. Happy New Year's, guys. We'll see you in 2025. Hope 2025 brings a lot of good luck and winning trades indeed. And we will see you in 2025.
Thank you, Trailing Paw. I hope you have the same.
Thank you. Looking forward to a prosperous 2025. There's no question about it.
Getting a mention on Fly. That's open. That broke. Went to new intraday highs, taking out the pre-market high in the process. 166. Great mention there, Nbis. And look at that. The volume expanded. That's exactly what we needed to see with this one. Now, can this continue? Let me see if I can find some upside targets here for you. If this does continue somewhere around $2, maybe 205, that would be the next upside target here, and that is the 200 EMA on the daily.
Okay, really good stuff there. This FLYE did give us a trade here, so pretty awesome. All right, we're just about there. God, we're a minute and a half. We're ready to go to Anne Marie if you're ready. Saving Ryan's trades and 13. Ryan's hope. Oh man, saving profits Ryan. Saving and investing private Ryan. So you guys want to know a little funny story? Used to be into, like, back when rap was good. I used to be into rap and R&B and all that stuff. And when I was in high school, a bunch of my friends were trying to get into freestyling. And when I created my AOL Instant Messenger name, I made it Private Ryman because it was close to my name. I know, cringy. Anyway, safe travels to all of you. Safe travels to all of you. Let's go ahead and get Anne Marie on here. She can save us from what we're doing here. 13, any closing remarks for the group here?
Oh, guys, it's been a wonderful
I did it again. 13, I clicked the wrong thing and I took you off. It was an accident.
Hey, I'll just make it quick. 2024 has been great with y'all. I really look forward to what's going to happen next year. 2025 is shaping up to be a pretty good year for us, seeing as how we've got an edge on the way this market's moving. Let's continue this education. Let's continue making money, and I'll see you folks next year. Have a good Happy New Year, everybody.
Sounds good. Happy New Year, 13. 13's departure leaves room for Anne Marie. We'll go ahead and bring her on. Anne Marie, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Are you still traveling?
I am.
The travels look awesome. Happy New Year's Eve to you, Anne Marie. I hope you have some awesome New Year's Eve plans.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think it'll be fun.
Okay. Really, really good stuff there. So I did ask earlier, I did mention earlier that we were going to have you on. I did ask the group if we had any stocks that we want to take a look at. I don't recall getting any. However, there was a transaction earlier that leads us to our first one here. So let me see. Did you share? Let me go ahead and put your screen. Oh,
Okay, so let me see what's happening here.
did you share your screen yet? No. Okay.
I tried to. Let's see. Share. It says unable to.
Oh,
Can't share my screen. Did you see it and then it went away?
I see it,
Let's try it again.
but I see the,
You see us?
yes.
Okay, now I'll change it. How's that?
I
Better?
see a heat map, Anne Marie. I think we're in business.
Woo!
Okay. So, I'm going to set the stage here for you. You tell me if this might make a decent options trade for our group.
Okay.
We saw repeat call sweeps kind of out of nowhere on DraftKings, ticker DKNG. And here's the rub about that, Anne Marie. The contracts expire on February 7th, so they used a weekly contract in order to capture this. There were 6 contracts being held open before we saw 8,300 compiling in 2 different transactions. The interesting thing about this is that the earnings is several days after the expiry of these contracts, and so too is the Super Bowl.
Interesting. Okay, do we know they're call sweeps, did you say?
Yes, they were calls. And just to give you that, I know I kind of fragmented that. I apologize. This is the February 7th expiry 40 call.
Okay.
That saw the unusual activity today.
Feb 740 calls. All right. Well, we can see. It definitely looks like a support region. And okay, so as I know you guys are in that space a lot, share with me what you perceive happens to these kinds of instruments normally after the Super Bowl.
Okay, I was hoping that you were going to ask me this. So the thought with DraftKings is, oh, as well, the Super Bowl, this is the big event, this is the big event, the betting should be huge. If you look at 2023, this thing sold off right after the Super Bowl. It ran into the Super Bowl and it
Uh-huh.
sold off after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So part of me makes me wonder if this hypothetical options trade that we're deriving from these sweeps are a play on a run up to the Super Bowl, but not exposing themselves to the binary event of earnings.
I think so.
That's what it
I think
seems like to
so.
me. So,
Okay,
and
so let's look at it.
last year it traded up going into earnings, so that would actually fit this if it does the same thing this year.
So Feb 7. Ooh, here's that big amount,
Yep.
8,361.
And if the price matters to you at all, that went off. That transaction went off at 87 cents. So obviously we're sitting above that.
Okay, so it's up about 12% or
Correct.
so from that space. All right. So look at how thin everything is here. We could do a couple of things. We could chase them, and let's see where the top is. So 50 is the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we chased them in, we could do 40. Yeah, it really wouldn't give us much of anything. Okay, so we could do something just a little different. And so here's my thought. What day
Okay.
did you say they had earnings?
So earnings here, let me pull. I'm going to get these dates exact, right? Because I was just looking at the expiry
I have
date.
the 20th.
Yep, earnings. So it hasn't been confirmed, right?
Okay.
So earnings is estimated. I have our algorithm estimates it for the 13th, but the 20th is absolutely within range. For context, last year we had it on the 15th.
Okay.
So it's going to be right in there. It's going to be mid-February, no matter what they end up sticking on.
Okay. So we would estimate then that this expiry would be at the end of the earnings cycle. Well, let's do this, right? We know from a data perspective, almost everything that we read says that gambling participation is at an all-time high,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Now, I would agree. I just won a parlay last night, correct?
Right. And so look at what's going on here on the 21st. We've got open interest of 10,600,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 44. It's at the 44 strike.
Mm-hmm.
So let's anticipate that as the middle. And let's choose 39 to 44. That's 5 to 49. A regular butterfly would give us a $500 upshot, less the cost of the option, which is running at about 79 cents. Can you see that all right, or do I
Yes,
need
I
to?
can. I can see it fine, and I'd be happy to read numbers to anyone that can't. But it looks crystal clear to me.
Okay, so that's a choice, and it gives us the opportunity to play into earnings. Now, let's look at where, wow, check this out. Open interest is at the money at 10,003. Somebody's done a straddle, or yeah, see, they bought the 77s and bought the 37. Excuse me, they bought the 44s and the 37s.
Okay, and Anne Marie, and really quickly, when I first saw these transactions hit the wire, I wondered if they might be part of a spread.
Yeah.
Thinkorswim does a really good job of telling me if there's a spread condition, and it lists nothing for this transaction. So I love that we're going about it this way and kind of deciphering in the monthly contract what's going on here.
Yeah. So somebody's done that. So if you're going to pay 328 on the debit, if the vol is pretty high, if you're thinking there's going to be, let's see what the down move might be. My earrings are moving against this. mic and it's making me bananas. Hang on a second. Let's try this. Let's try this one. All right. Might be better. Okay, so the low end, whoa, that's down at 32. Momentum, I mean, this looks like a bounce that could fail easily. So I think that's why they're going Feb 7 on that upside pressure.
Okay.
So what we might need to do is consider if we do Feb 7 and they're running into 40, if we don't think about just getting a magnificent win and just a solid win, we might want to go 40 to 42. It'd be 40 cents that it would cost us, but then it would be, $1.60 upside, and it wouldn't matter if it ran off the rails. So we could piggyback with them for the little bit of time into the Super Bowl and then just truncate it off. My thought is it could be 100%. It could easily be a 2xer, right?
So you're basically
that,
finding a way to lower the risk, but still chase the unusual.
exactly,
Got you. That makes sense.
exactly. And then if we were looking to say, hey, let's say after the fact, we don't want to put this next one in that I have that I'm going to show you right now until after the fact. So it would be after the Super Bowl, we would come in here and then do the put spread using this number as 37. It will be way cheaper, right? 37 to maybe 34. This might end up being 35 cents if we move all the way up to 40. So we have to stagger this. It's a timed position. So you and I can go back over this again the next time we meet as it gets closer to the Super
Perfect.
Bowl. We'll reflect on this one. But my surmising is that the easiest thing to do would be give us a call spread that traps some of it. I mean, you could even go, do they have 43?
Yes.
You could even do 43 and it would be, you could make 3x, almost 3x if it goes all the way past 43. If it goes into these very much higher levels, if you were saying, hey, listen, all right, I'll take one of these 40 to 42, but I'm going to YOLO, and I think it's going to go, up into this 44, 45 area. Easily, you could go to 45 and say, you know what, I'm just going to buy a couple of these. Now, you could easily, I don't think that it'll go to 50, but if it does, you could turn it into a spread and have $4 of upside. You could take both of these spreads, right? Because if it blows through the first one and you're like, oh man, I already made $1.60 there, and it's running off the rails, you can add another one on there using the 7th. Sorry. Let's make sure. Right? Oops. Oh, that's like free. Okay, let's see what they're actually charging for that one. 45. Yeah, there's nobody participating there. But yeah, 45 to 49, you could buy for a penny. Right?
Okay.
You have the one that's more sure, the 40 to 42. But if it really slings out and they're like, holy cow, we just are printing money hand over fist, this could run easily into this 45, 47 area, the old highs, and you could capture all kinds of gains there. So That's it. And then
Okay.
after the fact, after it's over, then you put in the put spread 37 to 34. But I would say that should be 35 cents. I don't think it should be any more than that.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Right?
I like the two-tiered trade. I like that. That's we haven't done
Yeah.
that before.
No, we haven't. I try to mix it up. So let me take a picture of this and we'll put it up for the Benzinga Pro folks, and I'll do a little write-up on what we think ought to be going on. So those guys will have
Amazing.
more to do. Yeah. So anything else? I have a couple of things.
I don't have anything from the chat here. It might be my own fault, Anne Marie, because one of the things I told the chat is that we're actually going to change the name and rebrand in 2025. And I asked the chat for
Nice.
suggestions, and they took that and went to 11.
Some
like
of them
Spinal
were
Tap.
very hilarious.
They
I
are
was reading.
hilarious. Ryan's Party Poopers is the most recent one, and I don't think we want to do that, Anne Marie.
No,
But
I say
okay.
no.
The
I say
13
no.
guy and Faloona on Rye. Look, the chat's having fun with it. The chat's having fun with it, so I'm good. I'm absolutely
Yeah,
good with it.
that's
But I
good.
think that's probably why we didn't get enough ideas
No
for the trade
worries.
here. So we might as well go with what you got prepared.
So let's follow a little bit of a news feed. What we can see is that all the contracts expiring in natural gas um, between Russia and a few spaces in Europe are going to expire. And now we're looking for more alternatives for where we can get liquefied natural gas. It's made a lot of these names go crazy. This one we talked about in the happy hour chat
Yep.
together.
And by the way, I'll use this time to mention that I brought you posted a chart in there. I brought that up in yesterday's happy hour. So thank you for contributing and posting in there. Even though you weren't around, I brought up your beautiful chart, which outlined that. So I love this idea.
Much. I tried to make it straightforward, but
Oh, yeah.
here is an ETF that is leveraged, right? Now, yesterday it was up like 18%, and today it's down 5%. So you can see it's got a lot of, it's not even coming up there, but this has got an incredibly noisy option chain with a lot of implied volatility. So it's good to trade if only the chart would come up here. So we have the option spreads that we can take a look at that might do something super interesting to give us information about what's next. So I do, it's very interesting where they're coming in and they're just putting their positions in and leaving. So the chain is sparse. And if we were to come in, we would need to be in those areas. And so a couple of things I really like. The first is an iron condor. It's the 65.70, 45.40 short iron condor. You know, I like to look for at least $1 on a $5 spread or a 20% return. This is giving us a 50% return because the implied volatility is so high. So that is gigantic and quite useful. Now, another thing that we can do on the cheap, and let's see if the chart has come up. Look at this chart. This is a weekly chart.
We call, just FYI, we call Boyle the Widowmaker in the happy hour
absolutely.
because this thing is just
Anything having to
crazy.
do with nat gas.
Yeah.
Anything having to do with nat gas. So what we do see happening, though, it is building some kind of base. And my thought was, hey, if it gets to 60, it's going to collapse and head back into that 40, 45-ish area before it runs again. I think this move was under all of that news that came out. I mean, there was an article on Schwab, there was an article in Forbes, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal. It's all over the place. And so this might be a space where we could say, hey, when it gets to about 45, we can position ourselves a magnificent butterfly to the upside Or we could say, hey, I know all the way until March, we have the opportunity for nat gas to expand. And so we could go down here and say, all right, what does it look like? See, they're still piling into this 40.
Yeah.
What does it look like if we position ourselves with a 1/3 by 2 on the downside? That would give us 112. Let's see if it might be better to do. Is that March? Yeah. What would June give us? That would be something we'd have to sit on for a while. Still 81 cents, but that's when this will collapse, right? It begins to collapse in the summer months, as we can see from the chart, right? We know that into those where is this? Weeks, right? Into those summer months, we normally see this collapse of motion, right? It rises into March and then collapses during the late summer. So getting this on the cheap, if we use June or even July, it'll take a while. Oh, they won't let us go any further.
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
would this also be something that maybe you can kind of keep on the back burner? And if you see natural gas push up over these next few months, then maybe looking at putting this trade on
Oh, you
as it
mean for the
collapses
put
into June?
side?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
I
you
would
can kind
not
of keep
keep the
this on
put.
the back
Yeah,
burner, and yeah, that actually is that's pretty sweet too. Because if you see a move up in natural, this trade is going to be cheaper. The time horizon is
exactly.
still the same.
Exactly.
So okay,
Exactly. Yeah, so you might be able to get this for 50 cents, right? Instead of $1.50.
yeah,
So that's my thought from
okay,
there.
cool.
Now, so we have the iron condor. We have you could do a short spread if you like, but if we're thinking, hey, these guys are going to push this price up in the near term because of the problems that are going on overall, we could go 60 to 70 to 80, and it would be 50 cents
Okay,
to do it in March. And this one we could take right away because it's going to fade a little bit and then pop back up, particularly if things get a little bit more treacherous, as it were. And that is a really nice upside event for all practical purposes. Notice, as we've looked at it, it's jumped about 40%. So what you'd want to do is put it in the queue at about 60 cents or so to see if you can get it in the space where it looks good.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so one more thing. How much time do we have? Yes, we have
You
time.
got plenty of time. Yep.
I wrote down, let's see what's going on here. I did not get a chance to look at the chains here. So let me see what the chains are doing. Okay, so this is an ultra Bitcoin ETF. I know you're like, what? She's doing what? Yes, this is an ultra Bitcoin ETF. And what we're thinking is it could move in either direction. And so while I'm waiting for the chart to come up here, what we can look at is if there's something that's telling us that liquidity is going to shift, let's see where they're sitting. Okay, 1100 in open interest at 65. I just read this, I don't know, it read like a tinfoil hat kind of article, to be honest, but it said that folks were trying, big money was trying to suppress the price of Bitcoin through the movements in the ETF, holding orders back and forth from here or there. And it might be because they're waiting to do their own accumulation and then have price action move to the north. So this one is quite possibly something that you could look at if you're staring down. Let's see what February looks like. All right, 75 they've got going on in February. So if we looked at, and it might take, props to Amanda, if we're looking at putting a butterfly on, but putting it in segments where we buy the long spread first, that's 75 to 85, right? And then we sell the short spread second. This ends up being a 30-cent butterfly for $1,000 move to the upside.
That
right?
seems pretty good. Risk
Yeah.
reward.
It is. It's got a good risk reward. 40 cents, right? And so you don't, of course, with these butterflies, you don't want to bet the farm.
Sure.
You just want to say, hey, listen, I'm following. What you're doing is just following the price action to the areas. Okay. And again, if we take a look at this chart, we can see that it's in rotation. I would say give it a couple days, see if it can come in to 40 and then take it. It might save you 5 or 6 cents if you go, hey, you know what? I'm just going to buy a couple of these. It is what it is. I'm just going to get in and not have to fret about it. Then, of course, you want to put an alert when it gets to 70 or the 60s, because by then it's going to be 3-4 times this amount.
Sure.
Right? It'll be $1.20, $1.30, right? If you're thinking that it's going to do the opposite, you can see that nobody in the chains is agreeing with you just yet. Everybody's tilted to the other side. That being said, sometimes that's bad, as we know, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
no
it's
question.
really bad. And so let's take a look at, this is a 2x. Let's see if they're sitting anywhere on the put side in here. They're not. They are really not. Call side 60. See, these things are so juicy with their volatilities. Covered calls end up being absolutely fascinating things that you can do if you happen to have that. You can just sell against it every couple of weeks. It's always moving up and down. You can take your profits, sell a new one, whatever. But what we want to do is wait for this one to pull back, this BITU, unless we just say to ourselves, hey, I'm going to take that 40 cent and not buy a lot of them, because it easily could be worth nothing if the charts roll over.
Okay.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Keep an eye on energies, right? We noticed the heat map last couple of days. Energies have been white hot compared to everybody else.
And let me ask you a question, Anne-Marie, because this is actually a subject that came up in our happy hour discussion yesterday. And I'll actually send you a link to a tool I use for this that's really
I would
great.
love that.
One of the things that we've noticed is that oftentimes when a sector is a really poor performing sector one year, the next year, it can often be the opposite. And the tool that I'm going to send you is just a very, very easy to use, awesome graphical interface where you can kind of see these relations. Energy, indeed, the weakest sector this year. And so I'm one, and we actually saw this before in 2021 and 2022. It was the top performing sector. In 2023, it was the second worst. And then this year, it's the second worst. So I'm almost thinking maybe we bounce back. Now you're telling me you're seeing energy being white hot leading into 2025. That seems good to me, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really, I think it's going to be super important. The question is, which ones do we go after? And really, it's going to be as simple as looking at the charts and seeing which ones behave the best, right? Whether it's Chevron, I think their chart looks the best. Of course, we've got Occidental. We know Buffett holds a ton of that. There's EQT, and then of course there's the XOP, which is that ETF, oil and gas ETF. That's also something that I think is really pretty solid for us to stare down. So the next couple of times we're together, I'd really like to flesh that out a little bit. I'm looking forward
Okay.
to looking at your tool. I
Ye-
think there are going to be some really big things in energy this year. And
Yeah,
of course, it's the reversion to the mean, right? Law of large numbers.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we can definitely do that. I can't remember. Are you busy on Friday?
No, I'll be back.
Okay,
I'll
you'll be
finally
back on Friday. Okay, so you know what I might do then? Maybe I'll start throwing together some of those names there, and we can take a look at those when you come back on Friday.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Okay,
That sounds fantastic. We'll do it.
Absolutely perfect. Then in that case, Anne Marie, the only other thing to mention here: have a happy New Year.
You also. This is going to be a great year for us, Ryan.
I think so too. I'm incredibly grateful for all of your help and support in 2024, and I am very much looking forward to an even more profitable 2025. So Anne Marie, stay safe, enjoy the adult beverages, ring in the new year, and we'll see you on Friday.
See you then.
All right, take care, everybody. That is Anne Marie. She is awesome, and we're lucky that we have her here twice a week. We're going to get her back. Folks, that's it here for today for the show. Have a great one. And like I had mentioned earlier, have a happy new year. It was awesome hanging out with you in 2024. We've got great things ahead here in 2025. Have a safe and happy new year. We thank all of our guests and viewers for joining us.